Yes, the planet has energon.
Too much energon. Continued exposure to unaltered forms will result in permanent damage.
Create alternative forms based on the most powerful local creatures. Too much energon.
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 Good evening, Maximals, and welcome back to Too Much Energon, the weekly podcast where we review every episode of Beast Wars ever in production order. Starting from the beginning, I'm one of your hosts, Christopher Siege, alongside my scintillating co-host,
NeoCal.
And we also have a special guest this week from the Stasis Lock Podcast. We're really excited to have her. Here she is, Candice Santora.
Hi, everybody. Sorry.
Hello.
That's my Dr. Nick. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We're really excited. And as I mentioned, you are on another podcast. Yes, the Stasis Lock Podcast.
Yes.
Stasis Lock. So give us a sentence about what that podcast is all about.
It's about picking on each other and maybe a little bit of Beast Wars news.
Beast Wars news and picking on each other. Okay.
I like what I'm hearing so far.
There's some foul language sometimes. For adults only, I'd say. We cover a lot of what's happening now, which is kind of weird to say because Beast Wars was 25 years ago. But guess what?
Right.
They have Masterpiece toys and third-party toys and all kinds of stuff coming out, comics and whatever. And so we talk about all this new stuff and artwork. We go over artwork, custom toys. It's pretty wild. You never know what you're going to get every episode.
Isn't it weird how like Beast Wars suddenly became relevant at the end of 2020 after like what it felt like was years of silence?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, we here on Too Much Energon kind of just started this show in the middle of 2020, kind of at random. Like it didn't even occur to either of us that 2021 is going to be the 25th anniversary of Beast Wars. Like it didn't occur to us at all. It was just a thing.
No.
Like, well, we both have the time and the will to do this.
Not only that, we didn't really even know anything was coming. We didn't know there was a comic run. We didn't know I didn't know there was a Netflix. Like,
yeah.
What is it called? The War for Cybertron?
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually didn't even know that. I just watched it. Siege and Earthrise.
Nice.
Have you seen that?
Ending.
Both of you?
Yes.
Yep, that final shot in Earthrise. I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah, we won't do we do spoilers for it? No, we won't bother getting too much into it, but its ending is pretty juicy.
Mm-hmm. And we may end up talking about it on this show eventually anyway, so stay tuned for that. This week on Too Much Energon, we are not actually reviewing one episode in particular. We're kind of breaking format a little bit here. For the regular listeners, last week we had our leader class sized episode where we covered the final 3 episodes of season 1. Before the Storm and Other Voices Part 1 and 2. So this week we have a special episode planned where we're going to... there's a new Beast Wars comic out. We're going to talk about that. We're going to kind of go over the season in broad strokes, discuss some unproduced episodes, and we're also going to count down our top 10 favorite episodes of season 1. So
stay tuned for that.
Or in this case, just keep listening.
Or in that case, yeah, just don't leave, please.
Don't hit the stop button. Don't hit the pause button, please.
And if you don't like it, leave it playing on in the background when you do laundry or something, you know?
And while you're at it, go and download it on like 50 other devices that you may own.
That's right.
Yeah.
Log in with every Apple account you have and give it a 5-star rating. I definitely have not done that. Never.
Yeah, we got a couple of 5-star ratings on the show on
Nice.
Apple Podcasts, so that's pretty cool. Oh, and on that note, something that I forgot to bring up on last week's show, I found out recently that we are ranked in the top 100 TV review shows on Apple Podcasts in Canada. We are number 89, and we are close to
Canada.
We are close to cracking the top 100 in Australia at 109.
That's
Wow.
You know what? I feel like that must be worth something, because if you had said like top TV podcasts for 90s animated shows from Mainframe Entertainment, I would believe you. Not top 100 for TV shows in general.
Yeah, top 100 TV review shows, which there are a lot of TV review shows out there. Let me tell you. So, you know what that means? It means we, Too Much Energon, we are a top 100 podcast.
There you go. Thank you to our 4 Turkish
Awesome.
Turkish listeners.
We have downloads now from all over the place. From like, we have a bunch in Russia,
Nice.
some in Italy, Spain.
Yeah.
Weirdly, not in the
Oh,
UK,
wow.
which was like, really?
But speaking of countries, I hear that Candice is not Canadian, but she still ended up enjoying Canadian entertainment, like Beast Wars.
Absolutely.
Smooth segue. So yeah. Candice, you're from the United States, yes?
Yes, Pennsylvania to be more precise.
Nice.
And,
Wait,
nice.
Pennsylvania is a real place?
Pennsylvania is a real place. I don't know about Transylvania, but Pennsylvania is a real place.
Oh, never mind. I got them confused.
Okay, I have a brief tangent to go on about that. So, my partner mentioned to me, this was a couple of years ago. My partner mentioned to me, she was like, I can't remember why, but she was talking about Pennsylvania, and for just whatever reason, in that moment, like it didn't click in my mind that she was talking about the state. You know, like the state that has the very famous city of Philadelphia in it. No, that did not click in my mind for whatever reason in that moment. I put the words pencil as in the thing that you write with, and Vania, which I was like, Transylvania, like Pennsylvania, Transylvania,
Castlevania?
And I was like, what is that? Is that like Transylvania but with pencils? And she's like,
yes.
no, the state. And I'm like, oh my fucking god. That is literally like probably the biggest like brain dead moment I've ever had. And I've had many, let me tell you.
Pennsylvania. Speaking of Pennsylvania, somebody likes to use pencils to depict certain Beast Wars characters.
God.
Should we talk about that? This is like the
Man,
smoothest I've been
Quite
with segues.
clever.
Like,
Yeah, you're on fire with the segues tonight, Cal.
I'll say.
Yeah, Candice. So you're from Pennsylvania, and yeah, you're an incredible artist. That's actually how I found you and your podcast. So why don't you tell us a bit about your art?
With the hashtag, don't play coy. On Instagram, yes, I hashtag Beast Wars quite frequently. My artwork, it's okay. I don't know.
Artists always hate their artwork. Always. You're not allowed to say anything about your artwork. You could talk about why you do it, but I think it's pretty good.
It's incredible, yeah. And for the listeners, I'll link to your Instagram in the show notes, just so they can check it out. Yeah, no
Thank
problem.
you.
Uh,
what I
so, sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
what I basically do, and geez, I think this started. When was the show? 1996. 1997, I believe, is when I finally got more into drawing it. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. Back in the 90s, we didn't have DVDs or the internet to the extent of what we have now. I didn't have
No.
the internet for a while. Um,
And in
so
fact, we don't even have DVDs anymore.
yeah,
We've come full circle.
Yeah.
we
Oh,
had these
do you want to
things
start?
called.
Do you want to start with the story of like how you discovered
Oh,
Beast
yeah,
Wars,
I
and then
guess
we'll
that
get
could just.
into your art from that point on?
Sure, sure. Okay, so once upon a time, I was in, gosh, how I was 12. I was 12 years old, and my brother and I have two sisters and a brother, but my brother and I remember specifically this morning before school. It was really early, and he was flipping through the channels, and he came across this at the time, beautifully animated cartoon. He's like, "Hey, Candy, check this out. This is Transformers." Right, so I was born in '84, so I didn't. The only Transformers, what's the word? Introduction I had was some of his old toys from G1. Knew who Optimus was and Bumblebee and blah blah blah, but didn't really watch it too much because I was too young. Watched the
Mm.
movie many times, but that's all I really had to
Yeah. The
go
three
off
of
of.
us were a little too young to
A little too young,
catch that.
a little. Missed it by that much.
I actually, most of my memories watching the original cartoon, other than catching like a few like VHS tapes like here and there, was actually during the G2 reruns back in like '93.
Mm.
It's a
Wait,
VHS.
so your brother caught it on in the morning?
Yes, the very first episode that was airing the first time in the States. That was like September, what, 16th, is it? September 14th? Something like that. I
Wow, the
forget.
stars lined up and you actually caught the first
Yes!
episode in the States?
Yes!
Wow.
No, it had already started a little bit. Like, I just remember Cheetor running, and then he ran into Waspinator, and his eyes got huge. And that's like the
Yeah.
first thing I kind of remember, I think. Now,
Mm.
I was immediately blown away. I was like, "What? This isn't Transformers. They're animals." And all of a sudden, everybody starts transforming, and we're like, "Holy shit! This is something new, and we love it." I immediately fell in love with the animation, the writing, the voice acting. It was so superb to me, and that then became my outlet um, from school. Such a great show, but we didn't understand how shows aired. 12, he's
Neither
like
did
13 or
I.
14,
Yeah.
and we didn't understand. We just happened to catch it at that point in the beginning, and we kept watching it as much as we could. And then I started recording every single episode. I was really good. I was really good, guys, at programming the VCR. Remember, they could do that? You could program them to start recording at this time
You taught
and
yourself
end at
how to
this.
program,
Oh, damn. Yes.
how to
I
record on the VCR?
figured that out
Well, we got a
real
rocket
quick.
scientist on the show.
I'm
Did not
laughing
want to
because
miss
I'm
episode.
laughing because as I've mentioned on the show before, I did the exact same thing. I taped every episode as it originally aired. I even like taped it in real time so I could pause out the commercials.
Oh,
What?
yes. Remember that?
Yeah.
Now
Oh.
you're thinking ahead.
Then you had to be ready, though, to unpause it as soon as it came back on.
Yeah.
Well, that was
Of
easy
course.
because didn't they have
Oh,
like
it had
intros and
bumpers.
outros?
Yeah. Yeah. It had
Oh, that's
bumpers.
right.
I can't remember what the Beast Wars one was, but the reboot one was like, "We now return to reboot."
It was you know at the
Oh.
end of the intro where it goes black and the Beast Wars logo comes up and the guy
And
is
there's like
just
a
like
roar.
Beast Wars. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It was just
you're
that.
right. Yeah, you're right. It just said Beast Wars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Had to be quick. Had to be quick.
And so, were you always artistic, or did that pick up
Yes.
later in your life?
Oh no, I started at that very young age. I was not a prodigy. I wasn't that good. My older sister let me know real quick. One of her birthdays, and I think this is on video somewhere. One of her birthdays, I drew her a horse on her birthday card. It wasn't very good, but horses are not easy to draw. So,
They're
just-
not. What strange, like muscular giant creatures.
So my proportions were way off. But she looks at it and she says, I could draw better than that. I'm like, what the hell?
Wow.
I don't know. I was probably 10 or 8 or so. I don't know. But what a jerk.
And this was for a card for her?
It was a birthday card I drew for her.
God.
What a bitch. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Don't worry, she won't listen to the show.
She'll never listen to the show.
Yeah.
But that's
Christopher and I
actually,
take solace in the fact that none of our friends will ever listen to this. So we can just talk shit about whoever we want.
Basically. And we have. And have suffered no repercussions from it. So I'm like,
And
cool.
never
You're not
will.
listening.
So sorry, yeah, you were saying you just stuck with it?
yes, I did a lot of my practicing with The Lion King. I was madly in love with that movie. And so I would draw, Simba and Nala and the hyenas and Scar all the time. All the time. I had those little trading cards I could use references for.
Nice.
Or you pause the movie. You got 5 minutes to draw before the pause turns off.
Oh, I forgot about the 5-minute timer.
I think that's what it was.
Wow.
So-
No, it's now that you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, that totally was a thing.
Well, I just found your speaking of like art and 90s, I just found your 99 Optimus versus 2018 Optimus.
Oh yeah, isn't that funny to look at?
Hey, the 1999 Optimus is still better than what I can do.
Okay.
I'm just starting to get back into some art now in a realistic sense. So wish me luck. I don't
Of
want to give up
course.
on it like I have throughout my past.
Oh.
Like I did.
Oh.
We're talking about art, not our lives, Christopher. I think that's the most savage beatdown I've ever. I apologize for that. That was just mean.
I gave up on that way before I gave up on the art. Let me
Oh.
tell you.
True freedom. So it was Lion King primarily.
The Lion King.
Are you a
yes.
Disney person, or was it
I'm a bit-
primarily Lion King?
It was primarily Lion King. Like if my friends saw some of it though, they'd be like, "Oh, could you draw me this or draw me this one or this?" I'm like, ugh.
Was it more the creatures you liked? Like in Lion King, there's no people,
Right.
which makes it apart from different Disney movies, right?
Right. Yes, I'm
So
very
do you
drawn
find yourself
into them.
drawn to animals, or
Absolutely. Yep.
okay,
And-
cool.
Beast Wars, hello, animals. That was so.
I was gonna
funny.
say Lion King is a pretty good introduction to drawing the animals of Beast Wars. I mean, hell,
did
there
a-
are 2 cats.
Yeah.
Well, maybe more than 2 cats.
Maybe we
Maybe.
we haven't
Maybe.
watched season 2 or 3 yet, so
Yeah. So one thing we do, Candice, is only like 2, but 2 people have mentioned to me, "Oh, hey, like I'm gonna watch this alongside you," but I've never seen it before, and I'm like, "What? Why would you do that?" But we try not to spoil too much off in the future,
Okay.
right? Like, so we don't talk about like future episodes or beast machines or that kind of thing. And we kind of like go episode to episode as if we're seeing it.
Right.
Like, and then we could talk about everything from that point, like backwards. But
Okay.
there's 2 reasons. One, I've never seen it from front to back in its entirety, so it's kind of for me. But it is also for anybody who wants to like watch along. Like my partner has never seen it before, so they're watching it like episode to episode too.
Nice.
So that's something that we try to do, but we're not like mega held up on.
Yeah,
So,
what I try to
heard-
do is like allude to things, but not
Yeah.
actually speak in definitives.
Yeah.
I heard none of what you just said, and I'm just gonna say. So in the third season, no, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, when you started drawing like Beast Wars, like I'm checking out the scrolling down far on Beast Wars, and I feel like you like Beast Wars a lot.
Well, once I started doing Beast Wars, okay, it was different animation from The Lion King, and I used to draw a lot of Pokemon and maybe a little bit of Dragon Ball Z, they're all like different
Nice.
animations. So I get to Beast Wars and I'm sketching it out, okay, and mind you guys, I don't have the internet yet, so I'm using the VCR and the TV, and I'm sitting in front of the TV with my little sketchbook.
Amazing.
It's
I
lost.
admire that dedication.
What a
I was
different
just-
age, right? Like you
Yes,
can't just
yes.
go on the internet and look at what's it called? Look at images to use as a base. You can't
Right.
just go and look at like stills, like go to Tubi or whatever and watch it for free and pause it like that. Like it's a completely different age. You were copying like cards and pausing your VHS recordings. That's pretty hardcore.
And you can't trace because the TV is much bigger than your paper. So
You can try.
you could try. You could try. But I learned. I think that was better for me to learn how to condense and kind of draw from here to here and here to here, and I would
Right.
kind of do it like that. And then once I had a sketch, I had a few sketches, and I'd look at them like, this doesn't look like the show. I want it to look like them from the show. And then came along the huge task of shading.
Ah, that's when you discovered, wait a second, they look 3D on the show.
Yes.
Mm.
So Beast Wars kind of made you learn how to start shading things.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow, look at that.
Yep.
Beast Wars giveth.
Beast Wars.
And Beast Wars taketh away.
Take it away.
Cheers.
But once we got the internet, then I was like, okay, I need to not sit in front of the TV because other people want to use the TV and maybe print
It's
some
time
of
to
these
sit in
images.
front of the monitor.
Print,
yeah.
monitor. Yeah, I think I started to print them out because they were much smaller and I didn't understand how to resize images or whatever. So I just did with what I had and just a lot of practice. Never stopped.
Time to sit in front of the monitor and wait 3 hours on that 56K modem for that JPEG to finish downloading.
And then spend $5 of ink to
Yeah.
print it out.
Who's using all the ink? Me.
Nope.
need it to
I don't know what you're talking about.
Ink?
God.
What is that?
Yeah, right.
What is
And
this
so-
ink you speak of?
And here we are today.
We are today.
Um,
I'm still doing it.
And you're still doing the Beast
What the hell's
Wars.
the matter with me?
So
Yes.
did you always have an interest in the toys as well? Or did
A
that
little.
come later?
That came pretty quickly. That came as the show was on. My first toy was Rhinox that my brother gave me for Christmas, and I still
Oh,
have
nice.
it.
Nice.
So yeah, and he was getting toys, and then we got my younger sister into it, and she was getting toys, and then so we would have like little battles and whatnot. It was really fun.
Wow, that's rad. I was an only child growing up, so
Oh,
no, it's fine. But like that's pretty rad that you and your siblings were all able to like enjoy Beast Wars together as you grew up.
yeah,
Mhm.
it was really nice. You get so
I see.
excited with the next episode. We don't know what's going to happen or the next season, and you have the intro for the new season, right? And you're like, "Who's that? And who's that? And what the heck's happened here?" And it's pretty wild. You have to
That's
wait.
gonna be
you know?
me next week. That's gonna be me.
Yeah,
I'm not going forward, and I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, I was gonna say for Cal and for the listeners, if you haven't watched through the show before and you are watching through it with us, when you come to next week's episode, the first episode of season 2, Aftermath, I highly recommend skipping the intro
Oh, good to know. I'm gonna do that.
because the intro shows a lot of things that won't make any sense, and in my opinion, it actually kind of ruins a bit of the suspense in a few
Yeah.
scenes.
Ah,
Yeah, some
okay. Thanks for
spoilers.
that heads up.
Yeah. Candice knows what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I am definitely going to. The last one we did, Candice, was like we did like all 3 of the last episodes of season 1, but like in one like it was like a 3-hour long like recording.
3 hour and 27 minutes is the
Wow, that
final
blew my mind.
edited episode.
Damn.
It blew my mind. I
Longer
was
than
like,
Avengers Endgame.
right? I was like, whoa, Unicron. Oh no, it's not really Unicron. Oh, okay. Wait, how does he know what Unicron is? Oh, okay, he knows. He read his mind.
Oh shit, Optimus is fucking dead.
Oh shit, Optimus is fucking Tarantulas is dead too. I don't know what's happening, but I like it.
I remember I had recorded that episode, the last episode of the first season, and when, as I'm sure everybody knows now, I can say this, that he blew up in space, and I pause it,
Fucking blew up.
like slowly like pause through and slowly pause through, and I would see like his head coming right at the camera. I'm like,
Right?
whoa, that's
I did the
pretty
same thing.
dark. That's
Yeah,
violent.
that was
do
insane.
that.
Would you see like the chunks of
There are
him
chunks
Yes.
of him.
like
His freaking head
zipping
comes right
toward
to
the camera?
screen.
So
and then you see
usually,
his face, yeah.
right? Usually, it's kind of like, okay, it's nebulous. Was he in there? Was he exploded? Did he get away? No, I went frame by frame, and chunks of him fly out through space, including his head. And I'm like, oh, well, fuck me then. Never mind. Not even being vague about that, huh?
Well, only if you took it frame by frame. Then otherwise it's
Yeah.
too quick and you don't really know. So you see
Did
something,
you discover
but it's
that?
like,
Did you discover that when you were like watching on VHS as a kid?
Yep.
Oh, so you knew. You're like, oh wow, no, he's in pieces.
Yeah.
No valiant escape there.
pretty traumatic. I was like, oh damn, guess he's not coming back. That was sad.
The only thing that would have made like that like way worse is if there was like a faded like Megatron like superimposed over the screen with him just laughing.
Like in the end of the episode, The Probe.
That I may talk about
Oh,
that
yeah.
one, yes.
When the tower blows up and there's just like this dissolved like shot of Megatron's head and he's just laughing maniacally.
It's wild.
He's such a jerk. I love it.
Yeah, he's great. Also, what's great, I'm looking at your Instagram right now. I really love the sleeping Dinobot. I think you captioned it "A Warrior at Peace."
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I really like it.
He's so cute. He's peace and quiet.
Also, looking at your Instagram and having listened to a couple of episodes of your show, you actually know a couple of the members of the cast, eh?
I
There's
don't know what you're talking about. It's top secret.
That's top
Sorry.
secret, Christopher.
It's everywhere, but it's top secret.
Yeah, I
couple of
don't
them,
actually, I don't actually know the details of that, so I was just kind of curious. If you don't want to talk about it, it's fine. But
Oh no, it's fine because I the annual Beast Wars Christmas Carol with Gary Chalk, so it's kind of a big deal. We stole it from David Kay.
nice.
If anybody knows what we're talking about, you could go to David Kay's
his name isn't on it.
No, he's got his own. He's got his own. So
Yeah.
you can go to David Kay's YouTube and watch his. He's been doing one every year for 10 years now. And
Wow.
back in 2017, I asked Gary. It kind of went like this. It's like, yo, Chuck, you want to do this or not? I mean, we got Megatron, we could have Optimus, and you love playing your guitar, so. And no, actually, it happened because it was farting around his video that year saying, where is Optimus and blah blah blah. So, are you really looking for him, or are you just playing around? I think David said he was just riffing and having fun with it, and I said, well, you got what you asked for. We're gonna bring in Gary. So quite fun.
Surprise!
Right? So I was hoping the fans would enjoy, having both the leaders of both factions having a little sing-off every year or whatever. I don't know. I thought it would be a nice upper for some of us who have down times and sad Christmases or whatever. Hope it would lift some spirits.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you were just mentioning that because I remember going through some of your art, and I was like, "Hold up, why is Optimus like playing a guitar and singing into a microphone?"
I never saw it that way.
And I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it now."
I
but
never
just
really saw
with
it from that
no context, just scrolling through there, I'm like, "Oh, you never really thought about it that way, really? Even though you drew it."
All I was thinking about was, hey, Gary does these open mics, and I just see guitar, so I'm gonna draw it that way. I didn't really think anybody,
Awesome.
outside of that who doesn't know he does that would
That's
not
rad.
put that together. I feel kind of bad.
I was kind of hoping
no
that would
idea.
happen in the episode. But then I clicked on it, and that's when I realized I was like, "Oh, he likes open mics and going to conventions and other stuff." And yeah, but with no context, I was like, "Holy shit, Optimus is playing a guitar."
Maybe that's how he defeats the Planet Buster moon.
That would be rad.
He just riffs it away, just strums it away,
So yeah, that is where Candice is. If you want to go creep her, I think
Yep.
it's spelled kind of like canned ice. I noticed.
Yes, because a certain someone would keep spelling my name wrong, and to try to, say I'm Ice, not Ace. If you could get it right, that'd be great. There's more than one way to spell Candace. And then I was like, hey, I could actually kind of use this, canned ice. You don't really think of ice in a can, but that's my thing now. I'm canned ice.
Honestly, that's how I remembered it. The Instagram title. I was like, oh, canned ice. Yeah, it's CANNEDISE .Santora at Instagram. If you guys want to go check her stuff out. And also,
there'll be a link to it to her Instagram in the show notes. So
before we move on, we're gonna try to stay on schedule here, though. I do want to point out,
sure,
I don't think there's better photography of like miniatures I've ever seen outside of your photography of your Beast Wars figurines.
No,
it's kind of next level.
No,
what do you think, Christopher?
No, it's pretty great. Yeah, lots of great shots of Beast Wars masterpiece figures.
Like, I'm a huge fan of the people listening are like, what the hell are they talking about? I'm a huge fan of letting just people do what they want without like under criticism. Like, there's no such thing as, oh, that's for kids, or oh, like adults shouldn't be doing that. And it is so immersive how you have like Rat Trap and Cheetor like throwing snowballs at each other. And Dinobot, I think Dinobot was like buried up to his neck in like one of the shots. It's just great. I love it.
I had him wrapped in a bag so he wouldn't get too. But yeah, his whole body is under there, and I had to, crick his neck a little bit to keep the head up above the
And
snow.
I know you got defense. You were like, no, but the different perspectives you used and like focus and stuff. There is photography going on in there, and it's pretty great. If you want to, so listeners, if you want to see Optimus and Cheetor have a snowball fight, go check her Instagram. Also, Tigatron in the snow. Tigatron's like one of my favorites. So just him prowling around in the snow is pretty amazing.
And some great action shots of Optimus and some Optimus and Cheetor.
Oh yes, I think you've captured the essence of Tigatron and how he prowls. I appreciate that.
I really like the character. Oh, thank you. I'm glad. I really like the character Tigatron, and I just felt like he really needs to be in the snow. So that first big snowstorm we had, up there, I think, I had to get out there and do that. Everyone's gonna laugh at me and hate me. I have yet to actually transform him into his robot mode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't done that yet. But I will eventually.
You're waiting for the right moment.
Yeah, now would be a good moment because we had another snowstorm, and now it's going to rain tomorrow or something, but I might have lost my opportunity.
The maximal moment, if you will.
Those figurines are so like they got a lot of emotion in their faces. Wow, Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah, those are masterpiece figures, Cal. So those are like those are some expensive Beast Wars toys.
They should pay you to advertise for them, because honestly, like seeing Tigatron hiding in the leaves and stuff, I'm actually creeping it now.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to buy the Tigatron figurine.
Impulse buying.
Right.
I've seen pictures of Masterpiece Tigatron in robot mode, and even I kind of want him to. It's like it is startlingly show accurate.
Yes.
It is. It looks all like it does a really great job.
You know what doesn't look show accurate though?
What's
Transformers Beast Wars #1 from IDW.
Oh, are we talking about that now? Candice, are you aware of this comic?
That was my attempt at a segue.
Wait, there's a comic now? Oh, yes.
Holy shit!
Have you read it or picked it up or? Oh, cool.
I read it a digital copy, but I have already ordered like as many variants of the covers as I can. I ordered the second issue. All over this, guys. I might have a problem.
Did you hear the story of how I stole one of the variant covers from Christopher?
No. Beef.
Christopher.
Just before we get to that, so what I wanted to talk about this week was this past week. So the Wednesday, February 2nd, 2021, IDW released the first issue of a new ongoing Transformers Beast Wars comic, written by Eric Burnham with art by Josh Burcham. It's going to be a monthly comic, and I figured since this was a special episode of the show, this would be a good time to talk about the first issue. Going forward, we'll probably spin this off into its own like little audio bit in the podcast feed for subsequent issues, but my goal is to talk about each issue of the new Beast Wars comic as it comes out on a monthly basis. Yeah. So anyway, so today I went, after I got off work, I went to my local comic book store. I was going to buy the book digitally, but I realized, I'm like, wait, I'm off work soon, and there is a comic book store literally about a 10-minute walk from where I work. So I'm gonna go get, gonna be old school, gonna go get a physical copy. And so that brings us to what you were saying, Cal.
Yeah, so he made the dire mistake of posting in the group message for Lasercomb podcasts that he was doing that. He was going to go pick it up. And me, having the advantage of not having a job, drove out.
And having a vehicle.
By the way, also having a vehicle gives me a slight advantage. I drive to the comic book store and go there, and there's a bunch of like the default covered issues, and there's 2 variant covers. And normally I'm not big about like variant covers. I'm not even that much of a comic book geek, but like WoW is the variant cover that I got. Like it's really well done, and I'm like, you know what? Okay, fine. And there were 2 of them left, and I was like, Christopher will probably like pop up in like less than an hour and grab the other one. And so I grab it.
That was the plan.
Yeah, and I leave and I BS with the guy behind the counter, and boy oh boy does that guy know way more about Transformers and Beast Wars than I do. And I'm like, well, this is embarrassing, but I have a Beast Wars podcast. And he's like, oh, cool, I'll check it out. And I'm like, yeah, my recording partner will probably be here like shortly and probably grab the other one. And he's all like, yeah, I'm surprised you even managed to get one. Like for some reason, those are like flying off the shelf. We didn't get that many. And then I'll cut to Christopher's side of the story as he showed up.
Yeah, so I get there and I see there are 3 copies left, because my plan was I was going to go in there and I knew that there were a few different variant covers. I was going to buy. I don't normally do this. I don't even buy comics much anymore. I used to buy a ton of comics back in the 90s and 2000s, but usually I just pick whatever cover I like the most and go with that. But this, I'm like, no, this is special. You know what? This is Beast Wars. So I'm gonna buy one of each variant cover I can find. I get in there. There are only 3 copies of the book left, and they're all cover A. And I'm like, oh.
So in like the 45 minutes between me getting there and like Christopher like showing up, like they sold 5 issues and someone else bought the other cover variant.
Yeah, so I grabbed one and I was looking around for a while, and the guy was like, hey man, can I help you find anything? And I'm like, yeah, actually, do you have any more covers of this? And he's like, oh, we did. Like, we had some incentive covers, and he looks and he's like, no, that's all we got. Someone just came in a few minutes ago and bought the other incentive cover. And I'm like, oh, lame. Oh well. And then I get on here to start our recording session, and Cal's like, yeah, I got one of the like special variant covers. And I'm like, it was you.
You bitch. But the way I look at it, man, you know what? Maybe I should have bought both of them and just gave you the other one.
Oh, it's fine. It made for a funny story.
And on the other hand, if Christopher didn't say anything, I wouldn't have gotten a copy at all. I would have gone tomorrow, and then they would have been out. Or maybe neither of us would have gotten a special cover.
Yes.
So there's that. So now we have it. I'm actually reading it right now.
Yes, I had mentioned to Cal in our group chat. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the comic store after work and pick up Beast Wars #1, because like we're doing a special episode of the show tonight, so that seems like a good place to talk about the comic. And then next thing I know, he's like, I got it.
Yeah. You son of a bitch.
And I'm like, no, I'm like, I'm like, hey, great. I figured Candice had probably read it, so I raced home and quickly read through it as fast as I could, and here we are.
And here we are. I like to think
Born
I
to be kings.
salvaged. I like to think I salvaged one of them. Whereas if I didn't go, then maybe neither of us would have gotten one. Yeah, let's say that. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
He's trying to justify his actions.
Yes,
He stole it.
I did. But also, thank you for actually posting about that, Christopher. I haven't been following like the release date of anything, and I honestly probably wouldn't have even gotten one.
Oh, well, I'm glad you
if you
did.
didn't say something. So
I'm
I
glad
was
you
doing
did.
my car insurance anyway, so I was like, well, since I'm driving around.
So, yeah, why don't we talk a little bit about the comic?
Yeah.
So this comic book it's kind of a reimagining of the Beast Wars story, which I appreciate. It's filling in a little bit of the blanks before the beginning of Beast Wars Part 1. Like, we see a little bit of about what's going on Cybertron. We get to know the characters a little bit before they do their now fabled transwarp jump. We also find out that Megatron's name before he took the name Megatron was Galavar, which I
Right?
found interesting.
And yeah, I didn't even realize that like they had different names until I recently watched Earthrise.
On the subject of names, I find it funny that in this comic book, like, they all have their Beast Wars names.
Yeah,
So,
I
like,
thought that too.
Yeah, so on the I'm
We've
glad I'm not the
joked-
only
go
one.
ahead.
We've
Yeah.
joked about this before.
We've joked, would it be funny if like Cheetor's name was Cheetor before he even knew what a cheetah was?
And
Right?
then, like,
Rhinox was Rhinox? Yeah.
and then, like, Cheetor drew the short straw, and he ended up becoming the rat transformer, named Cheetor.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
still named Cheetor.
Right? And imagine like Rhinox was like a cheetah.
Yeah.
Like it, and that makes whoa, wait. What if those animals were named after the Transformers?
Oh
Whoa.
shit!
Right? Bwom.
Oh, I didn't even think
Mind
of that.
blown.
They did travel through time.
Right? Cheetor came first.
What?
Did I just kind of blow your mind?
Yes.
I
Cheetahs were named after Cheetor and rats were named after Rat Trap. And they like cheese because of all the cheese jokes Rat Trap makes.
It's canon, damn it.
And
Totally
they
makes sense.
misspelled pterosaur. It should be Terrorsaur.
Oh, how did they spell it in here?
It was like on the show it's terror, right?
Terror, yeah.
The dinosaur is like Patera, Ptera.
Oh, right. I got you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I thought you meant in the comic they misspelled it. I was like, wait, what?
Oh no,
That
like
might
the
confuse
actual
kids buying the toy.
that's true. Maybe, yeah. The actual pterosaur is Pterosaur. I loved dinosaurs when I was a kid, which is actually why
As did
I
every
ended up
90s kid.
as every 90s kid, but that's probably why I actually stuck with watching Beasties as a kid.
Yes, you guys had beasties. Yes.
We had
Aw.
Beasties.
Yeah, it was
Because
known
I
as
was like,
Beast.
holy shit, look at these Transformers. They're dinosaurs.
Right?
Yeah, fun fact too. Like, you had mentioned watching Beast Wars on its original air date early in the morning. In Canada, Beasties actually aired on our Canadian kids national kids channel, YTV. It actually aired in prime time, here.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it aired at
What?
7 p.m. on Monday nights.
Wow.
I
It's
know,
crazy.
right?
Yeah, it was a
I
prime
probably would
time
never
show.
have. I would have missed it because my dad was on Seinfeld, and Seinfeld came on at 7 or 7:30, and I would have never seen it. So thank goodness for early school mornings.
Right? Oh, and it wasn't even a weekend? Wow, how did you
Oh,
ever
no,
catch that?
no, it was during the week. Yeah,
I like rolled out of bed and like went like straight to school. Like I didn't have time to watch TV.
we
Thank
lived
God
like the
for Fox
furthest.
Kids.
Yes, I was it Fox Kids. It was the Power Block.
Yeah, yeah.
Was that a Fox thing or a WB thing? I couldn't remember.
It was Fox. Because like we had YTV up here, but we got Fox affiliate. We had a local Fox affiliate up here as well. So even though like it was called Beasties, watching it on YTV, I still knew it was Beast Wars because I could watch it in the mornings on Fox Kids, and it would be called Beast Wars, and it would have the shortened intro. And
Sure. Oh man, you guys
Did you
got
know that we
everything
had a
up
different
there.
intro?
I don't think so.
Beasties
I mean, I know there's.
is about 60 seconds, I think, and Beast Wars was 30.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I feel
I
like
mean,
the
they got.
Canadian intro is a little more metal too. Yeah, sorry, what were you saying?
I can't remember what we're talking about.
You were like, what? Something about Beast Wars, right?
When isn't it about
The
Beast
comic.
Wars?
The comic. That's what we were talking about.
yeah,
Oh,
we're
the
talking
comic.
about the
Oh,
comic.
the pterosaur.
Some-
I didn't even know that
some-
there was a dinosaur called a pterosaur.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I love talking about this stuff. Yeah, there's an actual dinosaur, and it's the dinosaur that Pterosaur is based off of, and it's just called Pterosaur.
I thought he was like a pterodactyl or a pteranodon or something. This whole time, I had no idea there's a pterosaur. Pterosaur.
Yeah, like I think it's Pterosaur or Pterosaur.
Oh,
Ptero. Yes, it's with an O. And those were the really big ones, like the ones that like were like huge and walked. I think they were in like
Jurassic Park 3.
Jurassic Park Lost World or something like that.
They stood
if
on
you
their hind
Google-
legs and hopped
did.
around
They did. They
Yeah, they're
stood on their hind
scary
legs
as
and they were
shit.
scary as shit.
and just
If you
hopped
Google it,
Yes!
Christopher,
awkwardly.
they're huge. They're like giraffe-sized, man.
That's so cool. I didn't know that. I'm learning so much on your guys' podcast. This is great.
That's what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, two guys who knew like basically nothing about the show, like beyond having just watched the shit out of it when we were younger. Like we've actually learned a lot in the past like 6 or so months we've been doing the show. Like I didn't even know that there was this like big like community of Beast Wars fans on the internet when I was
Still.
like, hey, let's like I had no clue. No idea. I was just like, hey, let's start a Beast Wars podcast, and maybe like somebody out there will be like, oh yeah, I remember that show. Sure, I'll listen to this.
Mhm.
And now we know.
And knowing is half the battle. Speaking of
Yeah,
battles,
Joe.
And
Speaking of
speaking of knowing,
battles-
I just found out that pterosaur, despite its name, was a reptile, technically not a dinosaur. But a pterodactyl is a dinosaur. Sorry, continue.
we have some battles in this comic in Beast Wars #1.
Oh yeah, the comic.
The comic, yeah. In broad
We're
strokes,
learning about dinosaurs, damn it.
speaking
Sorry, go
speaking in
ahead.
broad strokes, I'll probably like want to do like maybe a separate audio, like where we actually, me and Cal, like actually like go over like the comic. But speaking in broad strokes, Candice, what did you think of the issue?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was it felt fresh. It was fun. I LOL'd at a couple of places, and I really enjoyed it. A bit different than what I had anticipated, but I think it works. You know, it feels like it's a young, new I don't know where I'm going with this. It's a new thing. It's a new thing for Transformers. Basically, it's Beast Wars all over again. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like that it hits it hits the same basic story beats, but it doesn't just retread them. Like it feels fresh.
Right. Yes.
And like we get a lot of little bit of details surrounding the events that we already know, kind of expanded and elaborated upon.
Yeah.
And I'm intrigued to know more about this character Nyx, who was based on the original Optimus Primal toy.
Oh, that's right. He was a bat.
Yeah.
Megatron was an alligator?
Yeah. I have that 2-packs hanging on my wall.
Nick,
Yeah,
it's
that
nice
blew
to have
my
a
mind.
Girl in the beginning here. It's nice to have that for us girls.
Right?
Also that, yeah. Well, no, like there are Transformers that are women, so it is odd that only like 1 out of like 30 seems to seems to be a feminine persuasion. And I'm like, are they just born like in a way big difference? Do you know what I mean? Like it's weird because they're machines, right? There's no sexual dimorphism.
Right.
So technically it should be half and half. They're just as capable as like their masculine like counterparts. Right? Like a
Right.
gun is a gun. Right? And
Yeah.
I always wondered why there weren't more, actually. Other than the boring logical reason, well, this is like a toy series aimed at boys and blah blah blah.
Boys don't want to buy toys of girls.
They don't, for some reason. Not until after they hit puberty. They're in their 30s, and then they go, hey, Black Arachnia. Wow.
She has boobs.
But also the 22 points of articulation on them.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, that too. So, very brief sidebar. The first time you saw Black Arachnia, Candice, was it the same reaction that we had? Because we had the reaction of like, those are like blatantly like big gold boobs right on the screen. Like they're shameless about sexualizing Black Arachnia.
Right.
But as a girl growing up and watching it, what was your impression when she popped up on screen?
I was well, you can't miss that. It's like, oh boy, the boys are gonna be googling
really
over
can't.
this one, aren't they?
She was definitely designed by tarantulas.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
True. It didn't matter to me too much. I already had my favorite characters, and
Yeah.
I just thought it was kind of neat that for me, as a 12-year-old at that time, 12, 13-ish, I could kind of relate, sort of. It's like, oh gosh, a female. Wow, this is pretty cool. Guys running around all the time, but I like the guys. But it's nice to have some sort of relation there as a woman. Yeah, this woman.
And she's boss.
Transformer is pretty. She's badass, man. She's got some moves.
Yeah.
Right?
Sweet.
The kung fu that she
spider.
like kicks the shit out of Cheetor with. Yeah. I'm a fan of her kung fu. I'm a fan of her stepping on the male Transformers.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
She was also a little too selfish for me, though. I was like, So her personality kind of turned me off a little bit, but
exactly. Yeah, I'm all aboard the Tigatron lifestyle. Live and let live. Fight only when you have to. I really dig Tigatron. So she was a little too selfish and nasty for me, but adult me is appreciating her for different reasons.
Well, that was the discussion on the Beast Wars comic. Let's move on.
We ruined that, didn't we?
Sorry.
It's a fluid format.
It's yeah.
All I'll say is like with the Beast Wars comic, my only real criticism is the art is fantastic, but I don't really like the Transformers animated-esque style of it.
Okay, yeah, you say like Transformers animated. So like you feel it's a little anime-ish, or what is your
There was a cartoon that was on that was literally called Transformers Animated. Just Google that,
I
and
will right now.
you'll see what I mean. It's the art style I find in the Beast Wars comic is evocative of that.
Oh, it's very okay. So there was a wave in the 2000s of Western animation, heavily influenced by the success of Eastern animation, right? Like anime and stuff. And I call it the Teen Titans era,
Right.
right? Where like the males have like very slim waists. There's only one shade of shading. I mean, right? Like it's a slightly darker. It's done all with
Right.
computers, right? It has that streamlined where silhouettes are the most important thing ever. And I call it like the Teen Titans like kind of era. And that's you're right, it does look like Transformers animated, and that is what like literally exactly what the comic book is like.
Yeah.
Like what is it? Batman Beyond has that feel
yeah.
to it. Yeah, and I actually really hate that era of Western animation. It gave rise to like Kim Possible, Ben 10, all those other kind of things, and I don't like the way those look. I guess I'm becoming an old man now, but I'm with you on that. I really like the comic. I'm like 1/3 of the way through. I'm just reading it now. I'm okay with the way it looks, like it's growing on me, but I understand the problem with that style.
Yeah, I just don't find the style fits the story and the setting personally, but I'll get used to it.
I don't
think,
like that.
for
Sorry, go ahead.
because it's Beast Wars, you probably think a lot of more organic kind of lines, so more curves and not so straight and cornered. I mean, that's
Exactly,
kind of what
yeah.
I thought it would kind of lean toward. I'm fine with what it is. I mean, it's all right, but I was expecting something a little different. But hey, we got Beast Wars comic, guys. Can't complain.
Even that's a
Exactly.
good point. Yeah. Well, if you've ever listened to Christopher boy, let me tell you, we can complain. Actually,
Quite a bit.
uh,
And nitpick. Holy shit.
well, we're of the yeah, we nitpick a lot. We're of the opinion that like nothing, especially the things we love, is without scrutiny. And when you enter the super fandom where everything is above scrutiny, I feel like you can no longer properly criticize things. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yes.
But I was expecting, now that I'm flipping through it, just to weigh in there, I was expecting their beast forms to be less, like Candice said, less blocky, or like more curves to them. But you know what? I think I like it more than Christopher though. I dig the more the stronger like silhouettes in this comic. Like I really like how the ships look. I really like how their head shapes are done. I don't necessarily like how they have anime mouths and like sharp like teeth and stuff. But yeah, so far I'm digging it.
What is it with characters having these weird like poles sticking out of them?
Poles?
Yeah, like
Oh,
Optimus has it, and another character has it.
That's the Western Revolution like kind of thing, right? Like picking up on Eastern elements of animation. So like antennas and did you ever watch what's it called? Not Vector Man.
Voltron.
Voltron and a lot of that kind of stuff. They have their helmets have a lot of pointed areas. There are parts on their back that point out, like wings and stuff like that. If you watch any animation with like mechs, right? like Evangelion. They have like lots of pointed parts like that. So I feel like that's kind of merging a unique style with like typical kind of mech shapes, and that's to build strong identifiable silhouettes that differentiate them from each other because they don't have hair or clothes. I'm selling myself on this comic. Actually, I think I actually really like it now that I'm going through it.
Well, you paid extra for that incentive cover, so I'm glad you're talking yourself into enjoying it.
You son of a bitch. All right. Okay. So I like it. Christopher, what's our next topic?
So moving on, we're gonna do is do kind of a like broad, like just overall recap of all the kind of major story beats that have gone on in season 1. Kind of like what we do on a regular episode of the show, but much more broad and condensed. So instead of spending 2 hours for the listeners, instead of us spending like 2 hours talking about a 22-minute episode, we're gonna take like 10 minutes talking about a like 26 episode season.
We got some ambient background noise going on here. Is that me? I'm gonna mute my mic.
Proud cat purring.
Oh, I think it's just background. Like, okay, it's here or there. It's like electronic hum, but whatever.
That comes in and out.
All right. So yeah, like you were saying, all three of us are doing our top 10.
Yes. Eventually, we're going to count down our top 10 episodes of the season, but right now we're just going to recap the season.
Oh, right.
So, what has happened this season? So the Predacons stole the golden disc from Cybertron, this mysterious artifact that we have no idea what it does as of yet. And the show began with the Maximals and Predacons transwarping in orbit over planet Energon. And they Candice, a running joke on the show has been to refer to prehistoric Earth as planet Energon because that's what the manual to the 1997 Beast Wars video game refers to it as.
Oh goodness!
Just planet Energon.
Nice.
Which Christopher assures me is very bad. The video game.
Well, you've heard that glorious intro, and so have our listeners, because I incorporate it into the episodes from time to time.
10 out of 10. Well, the gameplay itself was like you said, almost unplayable.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's awful.
You played it too?
Yes.
But apparently there's a reboot game too. You just gave it a shot?
I tried, but I was upset it wasn't the right voices. So I didn't even get through the whole game. Difficult.
I love the intro to that game, and I've as I mentioned, I've used it as a special bits of it as a special intro for like certain episodes of this show. I might even do it for this one. But I love the just like really terrible like dipshit sound-alike voice acting.
I find it so comical. I think I like Christopher's impressions of the video game voice actors more than I like his impressions of the actual characters.
Like Megatron in that intro. Yes, the planet has Energon.
Oh my god! Right.
It's kind of like how
Wow.
I enjoy my rendition of Scorponok, but like I stopped trying to even sound like Scorponok. It just became its own thing. Bless his heart.
Rhinox has just become a drunken trucker.
Oh god. He does have a slight twang to his voice, and we just ran with it.
Yeah.
But like Christopher was said, they land on planet Energon.
And they land on planet Energon. They find out there is too much Energon. And somehow they come to the conclusion immediately that they need to create alternative forms based on the most powerful local creatures. And they have this technology at the go, beast forms. And
Yeah, we've theorized that if they were on a modern planet, then they could have done vehicles, maybe. Right? Yeah.
right. Just like in G1, you know?
Yeah. But instead of just for disguises, it's so that they can withstand being on the planet itself.
And
so they take on some beast forms.
Yeah, and that's something I've spoken to before. One thing I really like about this show is it necessitates transforming much more in a much more urgent manner than
Essential.
than say Transformers Generation 1 did, because like in that show it was just it's about they need alternate forms because they just need to hide. But that kind of goes out the window in like the first episode when like humanity sees them as robots anyway. And in like it's the same in the fucking Michael Bay movies too. It's like why are they even transforming when they're like literally like working with the military?
Well, I guess they have the advantage of being able to move faster in their disguise forms.
Mm.
There's that.
So instead of robots in disguise, it's robots go fast, bro.
I thought you were gonna say robots to the skies or something, but yeah, robots go fast. But yeah, it's robot go gotta go fast mode. But in this, you said there's actually two parts. Not only do they have to be in beast mode for to withstand the Energon, they have a time limit that they can be in their robot form before they have to transform, as well as internal repairs are usually automatic, but only when they're in their beast form.
So their beast forms are necessitated twofold, and plus it's a neat little way for the writers to bring an end to a battle
without destroying each other. Yeah, organically. Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, I love the concept of transforming in this show. So one of the Predacons, Dinobot, is all like, "Fuck you, Megatron, you suck," and
he's like, "No, you suck," and they cross-country missile him.
Yeah, they Scorponok cross-country missiles him off into the horizon, and the Maximals go exploring, and they find a giant wasp, and a battle breaks out. We get a Beast Wars roll call where they all like shout out their names and an activation code and transform.
And it's rad.
And big battle ensues. The Maximals go back to the Axelon, and on the way they encounter Dinobot. And I've joked about this before, but I like to imagine that he spent the entire time between getting shot by Scorponok and meeting up with Optimus on the bridge. He spent that entire time sailing through the air with that missile.
And he just landed, and then
and he just landed.
The art for the for Too Much Energon has Dinobots sailing on the missile.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, Dinobot challenges Optimus and Optimus to a fight because he wants to lead the Maximals, and Optimus is all like, "You wish," and so they fight. Predacons show up. They shoot the bridge out. They miss. They try to shoot Optimus and
Like
Dinobot. They
stormtroopers.
miss. They blow up a mountain, and we discover that it's full of Energon Energon Mountain. There we go. Energon Mountain. Took me a second to get there. So Energon Mountain, and Megatron like basically has an orgasm at the thought.
He's oh my yes.
So
little-
much Energon. Yes.
And his little T-Rex hands kind of like rub his chest. And he's like, oh, I can taste it now. Quickly to Energon Mountain.
So both teams go to Energon Mountain, and they have a big battle, and Megatron decides quite randomly during the battle, even though no one's really winning, that he's just going to throw caution to the wind and transform and just blow the whole shit up.
If I go down, I'm taking you with me. Except he doesn't have to go down.
No.
He's being dramatic.
Overly dramatic.
I love this. Just to piggyback on what Christopher was saying there. As he blows it all up, right? And he's kind of like, oh, fine. If I go down, I'm taking you with me. It shows him like his eyes fade for a moment.
Yeah.
And everyone else is leaving. So it's like, oh, Megatron is like dead or whatever. And then as the explosions are happening and the Predacons and the Maximals are all running, Megatron like wakes up, looks around, realizes he's the only one there, and that it's taking longer to explode than normal, and just like runs and jumps off the mountain. Well, this is embarrassing.
I've decided that I want to live.
I only wanted to die if Optimus came with me.
Exactly.
And that's Beast Wars.
Yeah, so the mountain blows up, and now Dinobot has joined the Maximals, and Optimus like throws his fist in the air and is all like, Beast Wars! And then the Maximals go and rock out at Stonehenge.
Question real quick.
Sure.
Christopher, since you said that he says Beast Wars, when you guys saw it up there in Canada, or was it Beasties?
Well, the show was called Beasties because the CRTC, our Canadian Radio and Telecommunications Committee, at the time, they didn't like kids' shows to have the word war in the name.
Right.
Much like
the show itself was the same, though.
Yeah.
So when he shouted Beast Wars
on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the episode, he still shouts and let it be called Beast Wars. And like even and this is funny too, because like even the title card for the episode where it would say what the name of the episode is, it still said Beast Wars Part 1 and 2.
Huh.
Even though the intro would say Beasties.
Yeah, the title card still said Beast Wars. But the intro was Beasties.
Yeah. Yeah, the other mainframe, another mainframe cartoon based on the War Planets toy line, which the show was called War Planets down there, if I'm not mistaken. Up here it was called Shadow Raiders.
Yes.
Yeah, did you know that? It was called Shadow Raiders here?
Yes. I actually called Shadow Raiders more than I did War Planets.
Oh, interesting.
It's a cooler title. Doesn't tell you anything. It's not indicative anything at all about the show, but it's a cool sounding title. Shit, like Shadow. What does that even mean? They raid shadows? They raid from the shadows?
From the shadows. There you go. They're like ninjas, right?
Except that's not the show at all.
Except no one is a ninja. You're right.
It's about planets at war.
But that's another podcast.
Yeah, still
Possibly a 2022
we'll
podcast.
get there before then.
Yeah, we will.
So yeah, the Maximals are at Stonehenge, and some shit goes down. An alien probe shows up and traps Optimus. The Maximals try their hand at election season, and that to comedic results. And Rhinox tries to build a device to get Optimus out of this probe, and it doesn't work at all. And then the probe finally just lets him go, and then fucks off.
Yeah.
And this is our first taste of the mysterious aliens. Some other stuff happens throughout the season, like Pterosaur gets jacked on Energon from a floating mountain.
Yeah, what else? There's some teleporting bullshit with Cheetor.
Yeah, Cheetor teleports his Cheetor bullshit to the Predacon base.
Cheetor does some teleporting bullshit.
So
does Pterosaur.
Oh yeah.
He
Pterosaur
accidentally teleports too, and he's like, "Uh-oh."
And he hops around the Axelon on its hind legs.
Christopher loves the animation of the slow, just awkward hopping that he does in his pterodactyl form, or his pterosaur form, whatever creature he's supposed to be.
His beast mode.
His beast mode, yeah. And his just awkward arms, just kind of out, like an awkward leathery bird. And for some reason, it kills me too. It's so weird and awkward that you can't really hate Pterosaur, I feel. Or can you? I don't know. How do you feel about Pterosaur?
I always Starscream of Beast Wars.
Okay,
100%, yeah.
I kind of liked him,
a dumber
but he wasn't a favorite.
Starscream?
Yeah, kind of dumber, yeah.
Like Starscream's dumb younger cousin?
Yeah. Nailed it.
So, back in Beast Wars Part 1, as the Axelon, the Maximal ship, was going down, they ejected a bunch of stasis pods into orbit, and then one of them crashes, and we get to meet Tigatron. Guy who doesn't really
wrong with him, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't really remember who he is, but he really likes this tiger girlfriend that he's made, so he decides he's going to go hang out with her to the Maximals.
Well, I mean, hang out with a bunch of dudes and do work, right? Or
yeah, after that, another stasis pod crashes, and Tarantulas tries to make himself a hot girlfriend. And meanwhile, the Maximals suspect Rat Trap of being a traitor, so Rat Trap leaves and goes and seemingly joins the Predacons. And it turns out it was all a ruse.
It was a ruse.
It was a ruse.
A Mulan ruse.
And during that episode, we figure out that the Predacon ship has no type of automated defenses, so they make one. And then the Maximals also make an automated defense system. But because Rat Trap and Dinobot fucked around, they set it off, and Rat Trap had to go all John McClane and crawl through vents to try and disarm it. And then
that's literally what happens.
Yeah,
he should have said "Yippee-ki-yay" at one point, but he didn't.
No.
And then Scorponok makes a cyber bee to turn Optimus into a coward, and that goes
because
according
he's a
to plan.
Scientist.
And because he's a scientist, that goes according to plan. Except no, it doesn't. Optimus turns into a overpowered rage monster. And Cheetor thinks it's a good idea to turn him loose, and Rhinox is all like, Cheetor, what have you done?
I want to be free.
And then Optimus, in turn, like flies to the Predacon base and goes all Jason Voorhees, taking out the Predacons one by one. And
From the shadows.
he gets he finds they find the antivirus and cure him, and then Cybertron tries to send a probe to find the Maximals, and they build a big relay tower to radio it because they're going home, but Megatron's all like, fuck that, and blows it up. Also, Tarantulas in that episode makes a thing called a some kind of doohickey that like forces them to stay in their beast form. And this is such a like overpowered and successful piece of technology that you'd think it would totally be a thing that comes up in every episode that follows, right? Except it doesn't. We never see this thing again.
No. Did they destroy it?
No, they didn't.
Wait, they didn't?
No.
Oh, because if let's say they destroyed it, and we could kind of like, our headcanon could be, oh, there was a special type of like microchip that they can't make anymore, and so like that's why there's only one of them. But yeah, they didn't destroy it, did they?
Nope.
Well.
And then the Predacons fake their own deaths, so the Maximals go and steal their warp drive and try and fly away. But then and Dinobot, meanwhile, decides he's going to stay on the planet and fight polar bears and sail the high seas riding whales. Except the Predacons aren't dead, and they show up and fuck shit up. And Optimus goes straight up Superman with like really cheesy fake Superman music and all, and saves the Axelon from a fiery doom by catching it like Superman catching a 747.
I don't know why that was so jarringly like offensive to behold on my part. Like, it should be cheesy and corny, and I should go along with it, but the stakes are so high that it doesn't match the mood of the show.
Right.
That's just my opinion.
And Megatron spends an entire Saturday afternoon creating a device to reprogram a Maximal into a Predacon, and he does so to Rhinox. And then, except Rhinox actually becomes way too crafty and clever for him and tries to take over. So Megatron's all like, well, I've had enough of this. Cheers. And the Maximals come in and save the day. And then another stasis pod crash lands, and we are introduced to the concept of a spark. And
yes, a spark is like a Transformer's soul.
Yep, it is such a enduring concept that it has become part of every bit of Transformers media ever since. And Cheetor goes on a vision quest to yeah, basically.
He goes on a few vision quests.
And yada yada yada. They save the day, and we meet Airraiser, a giant hawk
I
mom
love her.
lady.
I love Mama Airraiser. They needed another like.
We've commented about how Airraiser gives off like pretty big mom energy.
Responsible, caring. Yeah, she's great. Basically the opposite of Black Arachnia.
Yeah.
And then Tigatron finds a flying island, and it turns out that flying island has an obelisk in the middle with a giant fucking eye laser.
Airraiser.
Well, it's in the air, right? It's a flying island. But yes, the island.
Yeah.
The island has a giant eye laser that Black Arachnia decides she wants to shoot at the maximal base.
And she can fly it around.
But they aren't having any of that, so Tigatron blows it up. And as it blows up, it sends a signal to the moon. And the moon bounces that signal off into a transwarp portal.
Dun dun.
And then another stasis pod crashes. This time, actually, it doesn't even crash. This one lands perfectly. This is the first stasis pod we've seen that hasn't had any problems coming down. It lands perfectly. You think the protoform that comes out of it is going to be like fully functional, right? Except no, he gets reprogrammed by
Go ahead.
he gets reprogrammed by Tarantulas and turns out to be a complete nut job who mostly just yells "Blah, blah, royalty" all the time.
You will burn for the royalty. I like him for the same reason I hate him. Do you know what I mean? He's just a super aggro, like, nut job that wants to, like, shoot his flamethrower and blow everything up.
And then the spark of Air Commander Starscream shows up and possesses Waspinator.
It sure does.
And there's not really much more to say about that episode beyond that.
Nope. Possesses Waspinator, tries to take over. Doesn't work.
Doesn't work. He leaves, and Waspinator ends up with a headache in his whole body. Then what happens next? The Maximals get caught in an Energon, or Rhinox, Dinobot, Rat Trap, and Cheetor get caught in an Energon explosion and go blind and have to make their way back to the Maximal base. And they do.
And they do.
And they do.
Yeah, Rhinox becomes the Buddha and teaches them to look within themselves, and they do, and they persevere.
And the then the Predacons steal the rectifier coil from the Maximal base, which prevents the base from being Energon shielded. So for some reason, the Maximals basically they have to stay in beast form even in their base. So instead of just sleeping in shifts and keeping watch, or like taking turns transform, like going into robot form and going into beast form, they decide that they're just going to stay awake for like 48 hours.
That's so perplexing.
In beast form. And then
by the way, it's their automated defenses should still work.
Yeah.
But why when you can stay awake for 3 days?
And then they eventually all pass out, and then basically go sleepwalking, think that they're animals in their respective beast form, and
Let the hunt begin.
Megatron puts on a safari hat and is getting like carried around on a throne as Black Arachnia beats a drum. It's a weird episode.
That's so weird.
But Tigatron helps them figure it out, so all is well. And then Rhinox is infected with a Energon fart virus, and some Looney Tunes shenanigans go down, and they get the counter virus, and Megatron is literally defeated by an Energon fart.
Oh no, not that.
And then Tigatron's girlfriend gets killed. It was actually pretty sad.
Yeah, and we find out she has a name.
What was it? Snowstalker?
Let's say yes.
I think that's what it was.
Snowstalker.
So he quits the Beast Wars, and then through some shenanigans, he is convinced to rejoin, and Optimus and Dinobot go all sassy.
Yeah, he learns that regardless of his involvement in the Beast Wars or not, he has a duty to protect it from destructive forces like the Predacons.
Right.
So he comes back to the fold.
And then Inferno finds another golden disc, and Megatron offers a ceasefire to the Maximals. And what ensues is the most like literal interpretation of a ceasefire I have ever seen. They're still fighting. They just don't shoot.
They're just using pots and pans and sticks and traps.
Giant like bits of like sheet metal that they carry out into a battlefield, like really hoping that's gonna come in handy.
Like a cookie pan. Yeah, I don't. And it does though. And then in part 2, I think like Waspinator's like, that's why he's not I'm not firing, and he like punches Rat Trap, and I'm like, okay, that's not what a truce is, but
right. And so the mysterious aliens show up and take the form of Unicron, and they basically tell Optimus that they've interfered with an experiment, and well, they're just going to throw the baby out with the bathwater and blow the whole planet up.
That's a good summary. They're like, you fucked around with our special planet. Well, if we can't play with our toys, no one can.
Yep. So they turn one of the
second moon is actually a death beam.
Yeah, they turn one of the moons into a giant moon laser.
Well, it was a moon laser in disguise. Right, like it was always a giant machine meant to shoot a laser.
Yeah. I glossed it. I didn't mention it, but in the Trigger Part 1, that was foreshadowed.
Yeah, I think they mentioned it was hollow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Part 2, Tarantulas was like trying to turn one of the stasis pods into an escape ship with a transwarp drive that he stole from the Predacon base. And Optimus is like, I'll take that. And gets in the stasis pod and flies it up to the moon. But to like try and blow the moon up with a transwarp explosion. But Megatron's like, well, I've locked the door. Goodbye, Optimus. And
and I'm the only one with the key.
And I didn't leave a key under the mat this time, Optimus. No.
This was all part of my master plan.
And Optimus succeeds. The moon gets blown up, but so does Optimus. And that's the end of Season 1. Optimus Prime is fucking dead. But the planet is saved, presumably.
Right?
Primal.
Oh, sorry, Primal. I usually actually just refer to him as Optimus Prime. As Optimus. I usually just say Optimus. But
Candice scoffs and he says, you must say the full name.
For shame. No.
Fake
If you're
Beast-
going to say the
fake
full
Beast
name,
Wars
say it
fan.
right. Yeah, I know.
Oh, if you're going to say the full name. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I said Optimus Prime there. I've been developing verbal, as Cal referred to it, verbal dyslexia lately.
Oh, no.
I'm revoking your Beast Wars fan card.
And I'm taking over this podcast. Yes. So that was Season 1 in a nutshell. 26 episodes. There were a couple of unproduced episodes that showrunners Bob Forward and Larry DiTilio revealed at a panel at BotCon 1998. The first one I want to bring up is the name of the episode was A Greater Ape. And I'm getting this all from the Transformers wiki. It focused on Optimus Primal, who, after a blow to the head, believed himself to be an actual gorilla. He ingratiated himself into a group of gorillas, even romancing a female ape, until an attack by Megatron on the gorillas brought him back to his senses. His gorilla lady friend rejected the real Primal.
Ooh. Feels bad.
Yeah, ouch.
You only loved me when you thought I was a gorilla. Now that you know the truth, I'm not good enough for you.
She's like, well, yeah.
Man, you got way too much baggage. See ya.
How would you react if the person, like, real talk, how would you react if the person you were dating for, like, I don't know, let's say like a week or two, right, was like, actually, I'm a robot. And you were like, what? And they proved it, and you were like, oh. Would that change anything? Or would you be like, fuck yeah, that's rad?
I would be like, fuck yeah, that's rad. What about you, Candice?
See, I'm asking the hard-hitting questions here.
I mean, like, well, wait, because... Sorry, I had to help my cat for a second. So...
I know, there's a lot of questions.
But... Okay, so Optimus didn't know he wasn't a real ape, so that's, that's not really fair. He didn't know. And she's like, hi. So if you have, like, something that does know it's a robot and doesn't tell you, that's straight out lie. And I'd be like,
that's a really good point.
So at what point in the relationship do they tell you, hi, I'm, like I'm a robot? Like, is it date 2? As soon as you meet them? Okay. So it's kind of like the rules. Like, hey, by the way, before we go on our date, or hey, nice to meet you. By the way, I'm made of metal.
Yeah, man. Just be straight up honest. Don't be playing games with me.
That makes sense. That's fair.
But like you said, Optimus didn't know. Like he thought he was a real gorilla, so it's not really his fault.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta be honest. I have not heard about these episodes, so this is really interesting.
What's the other one, Christopher? The other scrapped episode?
I only actually found out about these like maybe a month ago. I messaged Cal on our Lasercomb group chat, and I was like, I sent him the synopsis for it, and I'm just like, lol.
What was he? Oh, and the other one you just mentioned.
Yeah,
earlier. Yeah.
Yes, but yeah. So I actually before I move on to that, I would have really loved to see this episode actually be produced, because the idea of like Optimus like getting bonked on the head and thinking himself he's a real gorilla and getting a gorilla girlfriend sounds just so like delightfully stupid that I wish it had happened.
Yeah, I mean, Tigatron had a tiger girlfriend, so
a tigress. Yeah.
So why not? Presumably they are beast in every way, if you catch my meaning.
I don't catch your meaning, Christopher. Can you explain?
Fully functional?
Okay. I see.
Online. So the other episode is known as Bitch Wars, which I assume would have been changed had it been produced.
Go on.
So essentially, this is again from the Transformers wiki. essentially, it would have been the show's Ladies' Night Out episode, with Airraiser and Black Arachnia leaving their respective factions for one reason or another, and together forming a third party in the conflict for a while. This episode never left the conceptual phase because they couldn't find the right angle to approach the subject.
Oh God, we don't know anything about women. Abort.
I was just gonna say, like, I don't know, maybe like hire like a freelance female writer to develop the episode.
Hello. Oh.
Hire a woman? The hell? What's wrong with you?
This is the 90s, damn it.
Damn it.
Yeah, that episode sounds like it would have been fun as well had it come to fruition. I would have liked to have seen it. Any thoughts from the rest of the panel?
I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah, me too.
If not, just to see how terrible it would have been.
How horrible and misguided. Especially if they got a dude to write it.
It's not necessarily that like they could have done it bad, but I like that you said it didn't get out of the conceptual phase. Like they were like, you know what? Nah. We don't know how to make this work. And who's this episode even for, really? And so they bailed.
Plebs.
Cowards.
Speaking of episodes, the time has come for us to count down our top 10 favorite episodes of season 1 of Beast Wars.
Yes.
How we're going to do this is we're going to each do 3 at a time, and then that'll bring us to our respective number ones. And this is something I'm stealing from a top 10 podcast that I listen to that is, it's called the Top 10 Show. It is every week it is based around top 10 lists. If I say an episode is my number 10 and someone has it in one of their like 3 chunk brackets that is not this same 3 chunk bracket, we'll save the discussion for later. So let's say my number 10 is Candice's number 3. We'll skip talking about it for now, and we'll talk about it when we get to her number 3.
Okay, I see.
Make sense?
Yeah, sure. We'll figure it out. Yeah, it makes sense.
All right.
There you go.
All right. Since you're our guest on the show, Candice, why don't you get started? What is your number 10?
Some of these were really difficult to choose because some of them had enjoyed, but maybe not the whole episode. So just bear with me. I had to really pick and choose.
This is really hard for me.
I'm looking over the titles and I was like, wait, no, my list is too long. But until I get like the 4. So we're doing this 10 is like the least. Like number 1
like
is
your
most
10th favorite. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I put down Spider's Game 10. Should I talk about it?
Not on my list.
Not on mine either. So
yeah, by all means, talk about it.
Okay, it was Inferno's introduction. That's pretty much it. I love Inferno. He's just so crazy. I thought Jim Burns was amazing voicing him. I just thought
Christopher met him.
Yes, actually. I believe I've mentioned this on the show before, but since you haven't heard the story, Candice, I ran into him at a gas station in Nanaimo, British Columbia.
That's fantastic.
And I knew it was him because I recognized him because I watched the Highlander TV show, and he played Joe Dawson on that show. So I recognized him, and I knew that he also did the voice of Inferno, so I recognized him. He's also a pretty pretty good blues musician, and he
Yes.
plays. I don't know about now, but at the time, this was in the mid 2000s. He would play all over BC quite regularly, and he was in town because he was doing a show in Nanaimo, which is where it's my hometown. It's where I was living at the time. But yeah, I just randomly ran into him at a gas station. Really nice
That's
guy.
so cool. Yeah. I met him.
Sorry, I was just going to add. He's the only person from the show I've met in any capacity. But
wow, and you're like right there next to all of them. Well, a lot of them. Man.
But yeah, you said you met him.
Oh yeah, I met him a few years ago at a wedding of all places. So that was pretty wild.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. What's the story there?
Well, no surprise. It was Gary Chalk's wedding, and so a lot of them were there at some point. And I just happened to see Jim over by the wall, and I said hello and introduced myself, and that was pretty much all I could really get out. He was talking. I didn't want to loiter. Oh my God, it's Jim Burns.
That's fair.
I kind of stepped away. That was it. So interesting to mine.
Wow, you were at Gary Chalk's wedding?
Oh yeah, it was a few years ago. I've known him years
though,
now.
that's like
so.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's rad. I'm just like, whoa.
Rad.
Like you really know these people.
Oh yeah, and Scott was there too, and I was walking outside. After this, where am I supposed to go now? I was walking outside. He was out there, I think, smoking, but he was like all dressed in this nice, like you've never seen Scott dressed like this. Wasn't wearing a hat or anything, and I remember walking by and just glanced and said hi or whatever. Didn't really pay attention, and I kept walking. And then later, I found out it was him. And at the reception, we were talking about and laughing. It's like, Kim, that was you. I totally didn't even recognize you. It was pretty nice.
Wow. I remember like I never met him, but like I've seen pictures and whatnot. And yeah, he always wears the hat from what I've seen. And like I remember back when I was like or when Beast Wars was going, there was that Saban produced Ninja Turtles live action cartoon. Ninja Turtles The Next Mutation. He was actually a villain in one episode of that show, and he was wearing the hat.
Oh my God.
Even in character as the villain of that episode, he was wearing the hat.
Oh my goodness. That's funny.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. What's your number 9?
Number 9. All right, I wouldn't know where to put this, but it's got to be in there. Beast Wars parts 1 and 2. Use that as like one pick.
I separated them. I separated the episodes, but yeah, it's your list. So however you want to do it, it's fine. There's no real set rule.
Okay. I'm so particular about that stuff.
It's all good.
Just because it's the introductions, and I really liked most of it. Was you got to go through all the names and getting to know everybody, character development here and there, and I like the flow of it and the humor. So that's why that's up there. And my number 8, I don't know, Dark Voyage. Oh yeah, that was the one where they were Dark.
Yeah.
I liked the whole. Did anybody else have
my
that?
list.
Where is it on your list, Cal?
A little lower on the scale.
Okay, so we'll save the discussion for that then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Cal, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is actually. Let me make sure I actually have 10. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I narrowed it down. It is episode 4, Equal Measures.
That is not on my list.
Is it on Candice's? Nope, just me.
It is not.
Yeah, it's my number 10. That is where Cheetor gets teleported to the dark side and Pterosaur teleports to the Axelon. And there's just comical moments like him trying to team up with Dinobot, him getting shot at like the garbage disposal. Right?
Yeah.
Cheetor running in a circle with a missile chasing him. He jumps over Scorponok and the missile like blows him and Waspinator up. Right? Like it is what else? Oh, there's a Nikita missile shot by Scorponok where he can like
Right.
guide it right through the ventilation system. It's just like a weird, like wacky, like wild time. And I just imagine like Megatron being like, "Somebody catch that cat!" It's weird.
Catch him.
It's weird, and I don't know. It's just funny. I like it. Teleportation is weird, and it stops because what ends up happening? Something breaks, or there's some reason why it was a weird like phenomena that only happened in that one episode. But I just thought it was funny.
When he was teleporting back for whatever reason, he was destroying all the relays on his way back.
Oh,
It's
that's
not really
right.
explained in
Yeah.
the episode.
We
why
covered
that
it.
happened.
We covered it when we did that episode. Yeah, they blew up as he was coming back. Yeah,
one of our
so-
one of our best early episodes, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like it.
What's your number 9?
Number 9 is the Spark.
That's my number 10. Candice, where have you got it?
If you have it.
Let me check.
Or yeah, if you have it.
I was going to, but I did not.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we can talk about it.
Oh, it was your 10?
Yeah, it's my number 10.
Yeah, the Spark. I really like the spiritual episodes. I also like all the episodes where Cheetor has like prophetic dreams. I actually think he's a clairvoyant. Now that I've like analyzed the episodes and his vision quests. And
Yeah,
also I like Air Razor.
It's also has some of the best best directed chase sequences in the entire season, in my opinion. Like when the Flyers are chased, just the way the chase sequence, like when the Flyers are chasing Cheetor, like it's really dynamically directed.
And
like
it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
even the fight with Black Arachne and Cheetor.
Yeah.
Yeah, how he kind of catches her like little venom shot with his hands, like a samurai palming a sword, and like throws it back into her head. It's the whole thing is laid out really well, and also you get an odd duo doing what they do best. Like Cheetor showing up, and he's like, "Hey man," and by the way, Cheetor is just lost up to this point in the show. Like he's never had a win. He's been the annoying like youngster of the group. He's done nothing good. He's just annoyed or has caused them to fail.
Mm-hmm.
The Maximals. So him having a win by showing up when Rhinox, who's been by himself, who's like slowly like changing his subsystem's energy output so that he can repair Air Razor. When he's like, "Hey, Rhinox, what can I do?" And he's like, "Keep the Predacons away from me." It's you don't see just those two interact, and I thought the episode was just directed really well.
Yeah, and Cheetor knows that he can't like he can't really help the protoform in any like meaningful way, so he donates his locking chip to try and help it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good episode. It's definitely an episode I appreciate more as an adult than when I was watching it when I was like 11 or 12, but the reason why it's kind of low on my list is because it's not an episode that I see myself going back to a lot.
It's not, but when we did watch it, we were like, "Oh, this is really good."
Mm-hmm.
Probably because it's not a main point of the story.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And should I go on to my number 8?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
Yeah, my number 8 is actually Before the Storm, episode 24.
Not on my list. Candice, do you have it?
Nope. Yeah, I just like it. It sets in motion Other Voices Part 1 and 2. And I actually had Other Voices Part 1, Part 2, and Before the Storm all on my list, and I'm like, okay,
I was
something's gotta go. And I think it just sets up Megatron's like plan, and I really like the shots of like him in his room with like in his hot tub and like him like, oh yes, all according to plan. And that's the first time he's felt like a Bond villain rather than like a comical villain of opportunity who likes being with a flair for the dramatic.
Right.
So I really liked Before the Storm. The most unrealistic part of those three are the fact that he perplexingly sent just Inferno to go get the golden disc, but no, he is loyal.
I think
fault.
that's probably what it has to do with is the loyalty
exactly.
factor.
Yeah.
He was loyal and successful. I mean, if you had sent Pterosaur, he would have kept it for himself or something. Waspinator would have gotten blown up. So
Black Arachne would have betrayed them. Why not send Scorponok? Scorponok loyal. But also there's the weird like peace treaty, and they like meet at on a mountaintop. It's just there's a lot of weird things in it, so it made the list.
I always wondered how Megatron got up there.
We talked
about that. We're like, how the hell did he get up there?
And how did he get down?
I've been waiting here all afternoon. Yeah, he does. He just chills. He just like, well, goodbye, Optimus, and he walks off. And I'm like, where are you going, man? I hate to trouble you for a ride.
But we are having a truce, remember? Yes.
Optimus just flies off.
I'm just imagining him trying to walk down a very narrow kind of ledge, maybe, and trying to balance himself with his little arms, like slipping here and there.
Oh, careful. Oh.
He's like in beast form, like walking on his tiptoes, like sideways down the mountain.
Yeah. It was so different that it had to make my list. Like, it's just such a weird episode. But yeah, that's my number 8.
Yeah, it's a great episode. I made a personal little rule for myself that I was only going to include one part of a multi-part.
Yeah.
So I had to cut Before the Storm because another part of that, for all intents and purposes, 3-parter might be on my list.
Yeah. So yeah, let's move on to your 10, 9, 8.
My number 10 was the Spark from earlier. Yeah. My number 9 is the Trigger Part 1.
Ooh.
Is that on anyone's list?
That was like I just removed it like minutes before we started this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Trigger Part 1. It was always one of my favorite episodes growing up. I really like the this isn't the first that we've seen of alien tech in the show, but this is probably the most fantastical bit of alien technology we've seen. Because prior to this, all we've seen is the probe, but this is like straight up. This is a flying island cloaked in cloud coverage with like an obelisk that has a giant eye laser on it that just shoots if it detects energy weapons. Like it's nuts, and like it creates this really big mystery of like, whoa, like what is this? What's going on? What is this all about? I didn't include part 2 because unfortunately, the way I see it, like I think part 1 is the stronger of the two, because part 2 kind of whiffs it a little bit and kind of takes this mystery and essentially just turns it into a giant eye laser to shoot at the maximal base.
It loses a mystery and it just becomes a giant floating weapon
Yeah.
that anyone can basically take over. Like, it doesn't explain to us why Black Arachnia can just pilot this like death machine.
Yeah.
And why it's even a death machine. Yeah, good point. Yeah, I agree with you there. It's cool, but it makes that island's purpose lose all of its mystery. Like, remember, it even had an enclosed ecosystem. It was daytime on the island, even though it was nighttime on the planet.
Right.
Yeah, there's something that we noticed when we did the analysis of that episode. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. The skies were blue and it was like sunny out, and after Black Arachnia takes it over and starts like moving it and makes it lose its atmosphere, it reveals that it's nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, nope, just a giant like energy weapon. And I'm like, fair enough.
Kind of felt it was more like an episode show how again selfish she was being, and kind of cunning and betraying Megatron and that kind of stuff. It was like she was really power hungry, like a Predacon would be.
Do you think that it's that she repurposed the technology, the island, and that's not necessarily what its purpose was?
That's a good question.
And it was actually meant for something else? Like maybe it was like some sort of like habitat. I don't know. But yeah, maybe she repurposed it and it wasn't just meant to be a weapon. It's a good question.
It's interesting.
Well, Planet Energon is, as we find out, is essentially a giant like living lab.
Yeah.
So
that's what the Unicron head told us, at least.
Yeah. So the island was just another experiment, but yeah, because of reasons stated, I think part 1 is stronger than part 2.
Okay.
But that was my number 9.
And what else you got?
My number 8 is Victory.
Oh,
wait, did I still have that? Wait. No, I took it off.
Oh, I'm really intrigued to hear what your guys's the rest of your guys' lists are going to be.
That's not on mine either.
Victory. This is in my opinion, a really, really great episode. I really like the stuff that Dinobot's kind of dealing with. The conflicted feelings he's having over his former teammates meeting a seemingly rather untimely death, and struggling with what his life is going to be like going forward, like going back to Cybertron, and then the deciding not to, and like the
on the Raptorbot Chronicles.
Embarking on the Raptorbot Chronicles, and and then like when it's revealed that the Predacons are still alive, and the battle that ensues is pretty great. And it's actually the first time in the show, if I'm not mistaken, that we hear that like really iconic music that's played a lot during like Alien stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that music that basically played like almost entirely throughout Other Voices Part 2. Yeah, and
I thought you were gonna say that iconic music where Super Ape Optimus Primal
no,
saves the day.
I'll get to that. And just the bit where like Optimus is like in beast form, like walking across the battlefield, like carrying Dinobot. Like it's a really powerful image.
And he throws him.
He throws
Dinobot
him
up, yeah.
And then he like jumps up and Cheetor catches his hand and Scorponok like blasts a missile and knocks their hands free, and just watching Optimus fall and just like the terror in his eyes and like when he hits the ground,
realizing he's not going home.
Yeah. And just like he hits the ground with like a loud thud and just goes limp immediately. Like it's
pretty good, actually. Yeah, if I had analyzed it a little bit more, it might have made my list.
It's a really powerful episode that's completely undercut by Super Ape at the end.
And it's jarring because it's so emotional. Like Megatron is on the ship, fucking shit up, and like there's this, like all the Maximals are like, Optimus, like he's not going like home with them, and then to jarringly, which is probably why they did Super Ape, to jarringly cut away from this like tragic, like emotional like moment, and to have like the bad Superman music playing and Optimus like one like by himself like redirecting the Axelon as it's crashing back down.
They even do the whole "it's a bird, no, it's a plane" thing. Like
that killed my boner for the moment. No, it's Optimus Primal. Yeah, it should be funny, but like adult me was offended.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Super Ape at the end, that episode may have made my top 5. And like I wasn't even going to include it, but when I was thinking about my list the other day, I'm like no, like this is like up until that point, this is in my opinion like genuinely one of the best episodes of the season for me.
You raise a good argument.
Yes.
So that was my number 8. Candice, what is your number 7?
Number 7. I've got Chain of Command on there.
That is on my runners up.
Jeez.
So we'll wait on that, you're saying?
No, we can talk about it. Is it on your list, Chell?
No.
Oh. Very different lists. Okay. Take it away, Candice.
I like. Well, we're kind of introduced, sort of, with the whole mysterious alien thing going on, and what they can do with these Cybertronians with like a flick of the wrist, like it just basically evaporated him, and then stored him or whatever, however they did it in the pod. It's pretty wild. And how the hell do you rescue someone from something like that? You have nothing to base off of what's happening.
You yell at Rhinox to make a device.
Oh yeah, the
you
miracle
say,
worker.
"Get on that, Rhinox," and he's like, "What?" And then you make a device, and it does nothing.
It does nothing.
It literally did nothing.
He shoots the shit out of Waspinator, though, which was really cool.
That's pretty great. That's the first time we actually see him fire his GAT.
I didn't realize that.
The first time we get to see that like rotating like machine gun thing that he's got.
Awesome.
Because in Beast Wars Part 1, when they're having the shootout with the Predacons, he's actually shooting Cheetor's gun.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then the whole
Cheetor's tummy gun.
His tummy gun. And the whole figuring out who's next to give out the orders was kind of interesting. I always felt like Rhinox was in, but worked it out as a trap after fighting with Dinobot.
Who do you think voted for Dinobot? And who voted for Rat Trap?
I actually kind of feel like Rhinox might have voted for Dinobot.
Interesting. So that was my instinct, that the 2 votes for Dinobot were Dinobot and Rhinox.
Because he speaks up about it. Yeah, yeah.
But Christopher thinks that it was Dinobot and Cheetor that voted for Dinobot because Cheetor and Rat Trap were butting heads.
Yeah,
but Rat Trap did get him out of a lot of situations there in the beginning.
But then
we kind of owed it to
Rat Trap. Go ahead.
Rhinox
Christopher.
and Rat Trap are also like best buds too.
But Rhinox and Rat Trap
I know.
are best friends. So this is what I think. I think, right? Rat Trap voted for Dinobot. And the 2 votes for Dinobot were Rat Trap and Dinobot. And the 2
Oh
votes
my
for
God.
Rat Trap were Cheetor and Rhinox. And he did it just to be a shithead.
That's
He acts like he did. He pretend. Okay.
So then he could be like, "Hey, what's the big deal?"
Yeah,
But no,
20 traders voted for the Predacron.
But if I was serious, I actually think it's Christopher's got it. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, it's hard to say. I wish I would have. Well, I don't know. It's kind of neat to have the mystery, but
Yeah.
sometimes I need that closure. Who was it?
Where is she? Who was it?
Rachel.
So what number?
You saw my comment on YouTube.
Just today, actually. Yeah.
I
What
couldn't
comment?
stop laughing.
Oh,
Was there a comment?
yeah. I'll go there right now and read it.
What episode were we on? That was number 7?
that
6?
that was Candice's number 7.
Yeah,
Oh.
so what's your number 6?
Number 6, I threw up double Dinobot.
Double Dinobot. My favorite episode.
Nice.
I am kidding. It is not on my
Oh,
list.
damn it.
It's not on my list either.
Give us sell us on why this episode is good, because
Oh, I don't.
you might not want to listen to our episode about it.
Maybe I do. I like to have other perspectives. Okay, let me think here. It's been a while. I liked the bantering with Trap and the fake one, but you also kind of see how loyal Dinobot actually is to the max, or honorable. Maybe I should use that word instead.
Honorable. Yeah.
And he gets on. He does it right. He does it well, and he kicks Megatron's ass. And then
He does
spits a
kick
piece of-
Megatron's ass.
Oh, that was
Oh,
the one
God.
where he got buried by Pterosaur, right?
Yes.
In the
Right,
cave
or
there
in the
something.
mountain, yeah.
Mountain, yeah. It's like rest in peace.
I actually enjoyed that episode a lot more than Cal did. I think it's kind of the epitome of a filler. It is the most like filler of filler episodes.
Okay.
Of
We have
season
fun
1.
with it, and we laugh a lot, but we're not laughing at the episode. For some reason, we imagined his Dino clone as like some failed like thespian, some like want to be actor, right? Because
That's
there's often
funny.
he's a terrible
Okay.
liar, and
Yeah,
we
yeah.
ended up giving him a weird voice. Like he talked like this, and he spoke in ye old English.
Yes, and Cal introduced me to the term fop doodle in that episode.
Yeah, something I learned in my drama days and my playwright days.
Fop doodle.
Yeah, fop doodle.
What does fop doodle mean, Cal?
Oh, it's like someone who's insignificant or like dumb. It's just a fancy like old English way of calling somebody like a simple-minded.
Fop doodle?
Yeah, someone that doesn't matter or can't matter.
Due to his fop doodlery.
Fop doodlery. We're bringing it back. We're bringing fop doodle back.
It's been a while, so
Yeah.
Candice had commented on the YouTube version of the episode YouTube release of episode 9, A Better Mousetrap, that she lolled at our Christian Bale Batman impressions.
They're fantastic.
We go all out.
I may have practiced the shit out of that voice when I first saw Batman Begins back in 2005 because I was that much of a dork.
I loved those Batman movies.
Yes,
I think
me
I
too.
loved when I really loved them was with Dark Knight.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, I was all about Dark Knight.
Yep.
Yeah, who wasn't back then?
I found my love returning for those 3 movies with college humor. They do some like spoofs of it, and they're actually like genuinely funny. And I never thought I'd say that about college humor, but like in the late like 2010s, they actually started like getting funny again. Like they have one where Batman doesn't understand what guns are because he's like, I have one rule when he doesn't use guns.
Yeah.
And he like shoots some or like batarangs somebody like across the throat and kills them. And they're like, what? I thought you didn't kill people. He's like, oh, no. You see, when bad guys fight me, they get tired and they fall asleep. He's like fighting the Penguin. The Penguin's like, do you know what death is? It's so that reignited my love for Batman. Thanks, college humor. But
Speaking of Batman, Candice, what's your number 5?
What?
I'm not wearing hockey pads. Sorry, go ahead.
Which episode is this? Oh, Double Jeopardy. Okay. You're gonna start.
That is a. We'll table that one.
Okay.
We'll table that one for later. Because that is higher on my list.
Oh, okay.
All right, Cal, what is your number 7?
Number 7, The Low Road. That's right. Made my list.
We're going to table that one too.
Yep.
Ooh. Wow, okay. Number
for you too, Candice?
Yes.
Oh,
awesome.
Well, I knew I should have put it lower on my list. Dang it.
What's your number 6, Cal?
Number 6, Dark Voyage.
That made my honorable mentions.
Dark Voyage kept coming off and on my list. Is
mine,
it on
mine too.
It's on yours?
Yeah, it was my number 8.
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry.
Right, yeah.
We didn't talk about it, or maybe I didn't pipe up in time talking about it. But yeah, just I don't know, something like pretty horrific about losing a very important sense that we rely on. And Rhinox, like I already said it, spiritually like guiding them through that is was pretty great. Him like going in the lotus position as if he's like meditating, but like staying in his rhinoceros form was just a treat. Fighting the giant snake. the when Rhinox tosses the giant anaconda into like a group of elephants. Cheetor almost getting choked out. Just it's got a little something for everyone. I timed the wording of those 2 sentences weirdly. Don't get off on Cheetor getting choked out.
Yeah, and that bit in the episode where he's just like, where Rhinox is like, after that is like, hang on, Cheetor, we're gonna make it. And Cheetor is just like so defeated. He's just like, yeah, sure, gonna make it. Just so tired. I'm like, wow. Like it's actually pretty strong.
It is, yeah, for another
for a
filler
children's show,
episode and a children's episode, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it is
And,
also
I,
it is also a filler episode.
Yeah. And let's see, that was my 6. My number 5 is Other Voices Part 1.
Ooh, I had that. Oh, I have that.
So I'll shelf that for the when it's lower on the totem pole.
I do want to
Yeah.
say, back to Dark Voyage.
Yeah.
There's a part in there, where I cannot not laugh at it anytime. Rat Trap's on the log. No, he's about to go on the log to cross the waterfall there, and he smacks his face on it because he can't see. I'm like, that's exactly what anybody would do. It just
There's a
makes
lot
me
of
laugh
yeah.
so hard. I see my dog do it all the time in a doorway. He's not looking where he's going. He just smacks his face.
Luckily,
Right into-
luckily nobody could see that he had done that.
That's true. That's
Womp.
true. But just the way they
Silver
animated
lining.
that was just so perfect. I can't not laugh at it.
And then they made the genius idea of like all crossing the log bridge at the same time
Oh yes.
instead of one at a
They were
time.
holding
Yeah.
on to each other.
Were they?
They were, yeah.
Oh,
Like they had each other's
Okay.
tails or something to guide them.
you're right. You're right. I remember now. Yeah. Fair enough. And yeah, that's mine. Christopher, your number 7.
My number 7 is Beast Wars Part 1. And
Ooh, that's a little lower for me. It's on my list.
oh, okay. We
Indeed.
will- so my number 6 then is Dark Designs, the evil Rhinox episode.
Dun dun. Is it on your list, Candice? It's not on
It
mine.
was, but I had taken it off, so no
Yeah.
longer.
So it's all you, Christopher.
I love douchebag Rhinox.
He's a good Predacon.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
asshole Rhinox is great, and the dialogue in that episode is like really quippy and clever. That
It
episode
is.
that episode was written by Ian Weir.
Hmm.
Ian Weir also wrote
Possession. The Waspinator and Starscream.
yeah, he wrote he wrote Possession, which is another really good episode, and we're not going to talk about it yet, but he also wrote Code of Hero.
That's season 2?
Season 2, yeah. Candice knows what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is, so we'll find out.
big one.
But it's a good one.
So needless to say, Ian Weir wrote some primo Beast Wars episodes.
Okay. I keep hearing about that episode. I'm curious.
Well,
We'll get there.
I did the math because I invited a mutual friend of ours to be on that episode.
Oh, that's right.
I did the math. I think we'll be covering that episode on March 11th. So not too far from now.
That's not too far away.
Yeah. Dark Designs. Really great dialogue, lots of quips. Really awesome fight scene.
Scene at the end.
between
Holy shit.
Optimus and Megatron.
Between
Yeah.
everyone.
Oh, between everyone, really.
What
yeah.
is it? It's Scorponok and he actually
And
Dinobot.
And
He
Dinobot
actually uses his whirly tail. Yeah.
he
That,
puts it
little spinning thing.
to the head of Scorponok.
Yeah, bounces his head around, sparks come off. Yeah. The choreography, man, I should have added that to my list. Like I forgot about the crazy good fight scene at the end of that. But yeah, I agree with you. It's good.
Candice, anything to say about Dark Designs?
Oh, you guys pretty much covered it, but just to reiterate, I really enjoyed seeing that totally different side of Rhinox, and I don't think it ever leaves him after the Beast Wars. Yeah, something. I think part of it is left with him.
Well, I mean,
Well, we can't talk about that.
yeah, that's
Believe it or not, that motherfucker at the comic book store today just spoiled that for me.
Uh-oh.
Specifically that.
Oh, What?
Oh, the
Yeah.
Beast Machines thing?
Specifically that.
That's
Jeez.
so he spoiled the Beast Machines
After I
reveal.
mentioned that I had not watched it yet.
Wow. That's a weirdly specific thing to spoil out
Yeah.
of context.
Yep. And I was like, cool, bye.
Also, listen to our podcast.
Oh yeah, I said that part too. You son of a bitch. I would never ever have. I would have said that was a lie, except that he was like fanboy Beast Machines and Beast Wars like hard, and he's like, "Oh, the only thing that was unrealistic was," and I was like, yeah, I haven't watched it yet." He's like, "What? I thought you were doing a podcast," and I'm like, "Well, have a nice day, sir."
Good day, sir.
I
say
said good day.
Son of a bitch. But yeah. I would never have believed. Like if just randomly somebody had like said that, I would have or said, "Ooh, like this person's like somebody on this side joins this side." I would have never have believed them. I would have been like, "No, it must be this one or this one." So, I'm a little irked.
I think even people who have seen Beast Machines still don't believe it.
Well, that's what he was commenting on. Yeah.
Yeah, so that
son of a bitch.
So that was
anyways.
that was my number 6. Fuck, that is such I know I already said that is such a weirdly specific thing to spoil like completely out of nowhere.
We were kind of spitballing like a bunch of stuff back and forth. Shout out to the guy at Curious Comics, by the way. But I think maybe I was excitedly changing the topic too much. Maybe I didn't emphasize that I was going into it blind. Like maybe he didn't understand when I said, "Oh, we haven't gotten there yet and I haven't seen it." Maybe he just meant I haven't rewatched it since I was a kid. Right? So he felt fine commenting on it, but I was pretty the wind was taken out of my sails. I was like, wow, that would have been great to find out on my own. But anyways,
if you quit the podcast at any point, I'm blaming that guy.
No, you go and find him. Go and find him. Get him.
So my number 5 is Guerrilla Warfare.
Really?
It's on my list.
Oh, it
I
is.
believe it.
Okay,
Yes.
so wow, there's some that are being shelved.
All right. Yeah, we'll shelve that one then. Candice, what is your number 4?
I've got Other Voices Parts 1 and 2.
Yeah, that was my number 6. Other Voices Part 1.
Other Voices Part no, we didn't. Other Voices Part 2 is my number 2, so we can we can just talk about them all now.
Okay, both of them. Yeah.
Take it away.
Part 2 is on yours, Christopher. Interesting.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's pretty well. I mean, there's so much going on. We're starting to learn a little bit more about the Vok aliens, whatever the heck. And the whole Unicron thing. I remember seeing that first time. I was like, my brother and I were like, holy shit, it's Unicron.
They haven't been
Right?
called the
How could that
Vok
be?
yet.
How could that-
Yeah. that doesn't spoil anything but the name. But yeah, they like was that Sean Connery? What was that?
Oh, that was me doing that whole like talking out of the side of my mouth.
Oh,
with,
inconspicuous.
with my hand covering the other
Yeah.
side of my mouth. Yeah.
Who haven't been called the Vok yet. Yeah.
They haven't been called the Vok yet.
I honestly thought they mentioned that in the whole.
No, they're
conversation
very
we lost in this
mysterious about it.
I was Candice, I was you can ask Cal. I was so bad about doing stuff like that when we first started the show, just because like I took for granted, like I just like it didn't even occur to me. Like I took
Tons
for
of
granted.
stuff. Tons of stuff.
I took for granted like having like already watched through the show like a couple of times when I was younger. I took for granted like when certain things were actually revealed. So I was kind of in the beginning talking about things like really casually and cavalier.
Or like all encompassing, like from other episodes, just all kind of at once.
Yeah.
But
And
I
Cal's
was like,
like,
"Oh, I didn't
wait,
know that."
no.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, no. I'd always like interrupt and try to stop him.
Yeah, I've gotten better about it in the
way
past
better.
few months, but
Yeah, you haven't done it in a long time. But yeah, it's very easy to broadly want to talk about all of it, and doing it episode to episode instead of in very broad strokes, I actually think is a little, now that we're doing it like that, I think it's pretty powerful. Just analyzing the episodes up to the one we're reviewing, rather than letting yourself start like talking about what happens in the future and stuff like that. To be present with it is interesting.
yeah, it's like rediscovering it in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost kind of envious of your partner because she gets to experience it for the first time.
Like literally the first time.
Yeah.
And for me, I only caught episodes here and there. You had stepped out for a moment much earlier in the preamble, Christopher, and I mentioned to Candice that like I haven't even seen all the episodes, and it was all out of order. I caught like the reruns whenever I could, right?
Right.
I think it's wild that both of you caught like the first episode the first time it was airing in the country. Like that's by accident. Like that's.
I was just waiting for Reboot to come on, and I saw this thing in the TV guide that said Beasties, and I'm like, well, I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna turn on. It's 7:25, so I'm gonna turn on, and Reboot's coming on at 7:30, so I'm just gonna turn it on YTV, and then I see like Megatron in his T-Rex form, shorting out and being like, convert back to beast mode, and I'm just like, what is this?
Holy shit.
Holy shit. As someone who loved Transformers growing up, I'm like, what is this a Transformers cartoon? And then I see like at the end the smash cut of the logo with Transformers underneath, and I like jumped off the couch in excitement.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so other voices. I specifically went with part 2 because on that ending, honestly.
Oh, and by the way, Candice, the wiki for the summary of the episodes, they even spoil what they're called, and it says the Vogue unleash a monstrous weapon. So I've already been spoiled by the wiki. Like it hasn't. Christopher's right. It technically hasn't been mentioned yet, but I read like weeks ago when I was like reading the little like synopsis of each episode. I was like, the Vogue. Right. What the fuck? Maybe I should go and edit it on Wikipedia.
Yeah, there you go.
Change it to the aliens in quotation mark.
I mean, technically that would be right.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, you were saying like it's just the ending. It's so powerful. See why I had like all 3 Before the Storm part 1 and part 2 on my voice. Yeah, on my list originally. And I'm like, no, that won't do.
Yeah, they're all 3 of them are like some of the best episodes in the season, in my opinion. That's why I put Other Voices Part 2 is my number 2. So that's why like I put it that high. But I said, I went with that one because of that ending. That ending is really powerful and like just blew my fucking mind when I was like watching it at like 12 years old for the first time.
Oh.
And like I loved like the little I love the little moments, like with Rat Trap being like, yeah, just in case you don't come back, can I have your quarters? And Optimus is just like, no.
And then continues talking. Yeah. It's just wild. There's weird stuff like Black Arachnia being possessed by tarantulas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Mega, like, that bit at the end there, that is like the most like heinous thing we've seen Megatron do. It's like we can we can laugh at him and be like, oh yes, like very like like over the top, like theatrical, like college stage theater type production. But like no, like that actually cements him as like an evil villain. Like
Well,
that
he FaceTimes him just so he can torment him in the moments before his death. So
So
like
true.
the last thing he sees and the last thing he hears is Megabyte.
Megatron.
Megabyte. Wow,
Mm.
is Megatron laughing at him?
Megabyte. Yeah.
Like,
Jerk.
fuck off now. Yeah, he could have just let him fly off and blow up, but no, he needs to let his last
Yep.
moments be Megatron like laughing.
So evil.
That's pretty evil.
so
That's like taking Hot Rod hostage and shooting you in the gut. Evil.
out
Maybe
of the
more.
way,
I'd
Hot
say more.
Rod. So Candice, that was parts 1 and 2 were your number 4.
Yes.
What was your number 3?
What's your number 3?
Number 3, I have the Low Road.
Yes, that's
All
my
right.
number 4.
That's my number 4 as well. Let's talk about this episode.
Wow, I can't believe you guys put it that high.
I can't believe it either.
I thought I was going to be the odd one out.
I think what I
wow,
like-
what do you?
What I liked more than the fart at the end is the whole bantering between Ratchet and Dinobot. Like the whole episode is just hilarious. I love it. I love this too. It's great.
We were surprised. Okay, so just quick before we talk about why we like the episode, Christopher, for like up to a month before, kept sighing and being like there's an episode that's just about like energon farts and like burp and like fart jokes, and he kept sighing and like I could
was
like
dreading
sense
it.
he was dreading it. Like he kept talking about it like, oh god, like here it comes. And I could like sense him like rubbing his temple like through our voice chat, just being like, oh god. But you always have a different perspective when you're an adult, right? And we watched it and it's so well written. It's so well directed. There's still a plot above the energon farts, like Tarantulas, right? Infiltrating his lair and stuff.
Yeah.
That at the end we were like, is this episode really good? And he was like, it is.
It's shockingly good.
Is this one of the better episodes? He's like, I think it is.
That's great.
Dinobot grabbing Tarantula, or Dinobot and Rat Trap like heading toward Tarantulas' lair, and Scorponok like looking on the radar, being like, "Here they come!" And the three flyers like all turning and looking at each other and nodding, and then like raising their guns and just opening fire at nothing. Megatron's just like, "Stop shooting, you fools! Wait for the target."
Wait for the target. He face palms himself, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And then Dinobot grabbing
And they're fine. They miss.
Dinobot grabbing Tarantulas like by the head and walking out and being like, "Do not fire, Megatron! I have a hostage." And Megatron being like, "Why, so you do?" And then he just blasts Tarantulas to bits.
Dinobot runs. So you do. And I think at that point, like, Tarantulas is already unconscious because he just got the shit beat out of him.
Yeah.
So his like limp body just gets wrecked even more.
Oh my god, when the Maximals show up and then Rat Trap comes down from behind Megatron and comes in between his legs. Like, what the he doesn't even care how close he is to one of the worst Predacons ever.
That was great. He just like,
so funny.
Oh yeah, one thing that I'm amazed by is he's like, I'd say, yeah, he's easily the smallest. right? The smallest out of any of the Transformers on the planet at the moment. But like he has the biggest balls. Like holy shit, the balls on this guy. Like he's not afraid of anyone. He has a survival instinct, but he's not afraid of anyone. And
He could be
I really
lazy,
like that. Like
but-
the under the legs, in between the legs kind of weird ass
Squirming
maneuver
it.
he did there. Yeah.
Black Arachnia straight up asking Megatron, "Why do you always talk to yourself?"
Oh, that's
Oh.
right.
I simply have a penchant for intelligent conversation. So many good lines.
As he like gazes into like his T-Rex hand.
Longingly.
Uh.
T-Rex.
Yeah.
Air Razor
Well,
in that weird like fantasy art pose with her arms
Yeah.
around
Oh
my
Optimus's
God.
leg.
Do you know what we're talking about, Candice?
Yeah.
When they bust through the wall, all the Maximals, but like
Mhm.
it's like a 70s like Conan like painting.
Yes.
And like Air Razor's
Yes.
lying on the ground with one leg, her hip up, and like her arm wrapped around like Optimus, and I'm like, what the fuck?
This is weird.
As a fan of like Luis Royo and like Boris Vallejo, like I really like that kind of art, but like it's so weird seeing those kind of poses show up in Beast Wars. Like it's not like they're
Especially
even
in
saving
that
Air
episode
Razor.
too.
It has a lot. You know, I should have made that my number one. God damn it.
Candice, what is your? That was your number 3, right?
Yes.
What is your number
Yes.
2?
It's another one that has to deal with Rat Trap and Dino, but mostly Rat Trap. A Better Mouse Trap.
Oh,
Oh,
this
that is
did not make
that
my
is not
list.
on my list. It's all you. Take it away.
Oh man! All right, Rat Trap is one of my favorite Maximals, so I absolutely loved the humor in this and how he went about everything up in the first place. But he went about it to correct it, and he did so, and it was awesome.
He
the
gets to
whole,
surf a little bit.
Yeah, he does everything. You really get to see how what's the word?
Resourceful
I'm sorry.
he is.
Resourceful and opportunistic and everything. Everything that is him in this episode, and I really enjoyed that.
He's
All
an
his funny
infiltrator.
comments. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like
Only
how
he could have done
the ship's defenses are the most powerful in that one episode.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the fucking ventilation shafts have turrets in them. And I'm like, Sentinel, where the fuck were you like all the other episodes when like Predacons like jump in the frickin' ship? But no.
Inconsistent. Yeah.
I
episode-
guess Rat Trap blew them all up in that episode.
That's true.
That episode really was Die Hard on the Axelon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except
it
instead
is.
of, terrorists, he's just going up against the automated defense system. But it's
And
like
having a blast.
and having a blast. But it's really Beast Wars Die Hard.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. Cal.
Number 2? Or was that your number 2?
That was her number 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Oh.
number 2.
Well, my number 4 was
The
the
Low Road.
Low Road, which was your number 3, Christopher?
It was my number 4 as well.
Or your number 4 as well, right?
Yeah, my number 3.
And we talked about that, and we all like that. My number 3 is Beast Wars Part 1. We've mentioned it a bit, right? The roll call, all of that.
Yeah.
We did table that discussion though.
Oh, did we?
Yeah. I talked about it a bit when I was recapping the whole season.
Oh, right. Right. Yeah,
Um,
that's what I got it confused with. Well, yeah, Beast Wars Part 1 is my number 3. And just
That was my number 7.
them. Oh, that's why we tabled it, right?
Yeah.
The way it establishes the rules in a realistic way really resonates with me. Like, it's like, okay, well, there's a lot of this like type of energy here. We can't stay in robot form too much. But the way it also kind of like talks about, internal repairs. Oh, they can repair themselves while they're in their beast mode. So there's two reasons to be in beast mode. And the whole, energon buildup, we have to transform. Oh, there's a reason for the tactics. You have a limited time to be in your robot form. Unless you're Inferno, blowing everything up in Law of the Jungle, because Inferno is in his robot form the entire episode, despite the Maximals having Energon. So Energon buildup. He's literally in his robot form the entire episode, except for like one little shot.
Yeah, there's one shot where he's in beast mode, and it's not even for very long.
No, but yeah, just it sets it up really well. Like, probably a better first episode of like anything I've ever watched.
It's definitely up there.
Yeah, I really like it. It tells me the rules, tells me who the bad guys are, tells me who the good guys are. Thank God Rat Trap isn't as pessimistic as he is in part 1, because holy cow, do I hate Rat Trap in part 1. I like him now, but like, he is insufferable. Like, he doesn't follow like any rules. He has like shit to say. It seems like he was gonna be a deserter at any given moment. And I feel like they fixed that and they made him zany rather than just complainy after that. I still like him though, just definitely not in that episode. He questions orders, damn it. I can't have that. See, Dinobot might be a traitor, but he's honorable. He will tell you when you're doing a bad job and fight you for the position of leader. But he won't just peace out. He won't question his orders. Unless he's fighting Megatron. Nothing can get in the way of him fighting Megatron.
That's true.
Anything to add about Beast Wars Part 1 or 2? I think
Part 1 for me, like I said, it was my number 7. Show has a great opening. One of the better, probably the best opening I've seen in a kids show, and probably one of the better openings in a series premiere period I've ever seen. It just opening right in space with them like jumping, emerging from a transwarp tunnel and just locked in battle. The dialogue is like really on point, like Rat Trap being like, this is ridiculous. We're an exploration ship, not a battle cruiser. And Optimus being like, no choice. Our ship was the only one that could lock onto Megatron's warp signature. So like that like little bit of dialogue already tells us so much that we need to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
About the two teams.
Oh, so, I forgot. Also, because they're crash landing and they don't know if it's going to be like they're going to explode and everyone dies. They eject all of the stasis pods for the crew.
Yes.
In cryosleep, which is a hell of a plot device, because it's like, hey kids, you want more toys? Well, they're slowly going to be introduced one by one as they fall from orbit. So it's genius. It does that really well, and the viewer knows. You're like, oh, that's the rest of their crew in like stable orbits. Ooh, interesting. Can't wait for a disgusting spider to get his hands on one or two.
Yeah, and I kind of like it because like it gives them the opportunity to develop the core cast, but like with the stasis pods in orbit, it's like, okay, now we have an opportunity to slowly introduce new characters over time as well.
Yes.
Genius. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an incredibly well written and succinct episode. It's very to the point. Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So what are we at now?
that was your number 3.
Oh, my number 2, right? The Probe.
Not on my list.
Think was that on either of yours?
No. Almost.
It's just weird that I don't like the hook. That there's just a magical tarantulas like device that forces the Maximals into their beast forms. But it is an interesting. The device is bad, but the plot itself is good. That's what I'm trying to spit out.
I'm actually kind of surprised it's so high on your list, because like when we recorded the episode of the show, it seemed like I was more into the episode than you were.
This one moved around on my list a lot, and I think the reason I ended up liking it is because that's the first time that we get to see that Megabyte like revels in tormenting others. Damn it, Megabyte. Megatron. Do that at least once
I love it.
an episode, can't. Can you imagine if he just showed up and he's like looks like you could use a hand.
Right?
And they're like, who is this giant, naked, beautiful man? I like him. It's like, what's your beast mode? And he's like, a beast mode? And he just like runs on all fours.
Scales up a wall, making that like
Right.
stock animal noise
Yeah.
that he makes like every time.
And they're
We-
like, horrifying.
Well, we did, I think, on one episode of our reboot podcast, which is called Alphanumeric, listeners. Alphanumeric, a reboot podcast. It's the same thing. We do the same thing that we do with Too Much Energon, except instead of Beast Wars, it's reboot. But we did say we did go off on one tangent one time where we talked about how it would be great if we could just have like Megatron and Megabyte like sitting in front of a campfire wearing smoking jackets, just like discussing.
It almost reminds me of the scene from Wreck-It Ralph, where all the bad guys have that support group.
Right,
But
right, yeah.
instead of it being a support group where they're kind of sad, it's like doon 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 doon, like kind of like this weird classical intro, and you like the camera like zooms in to a fire, and there's two like luxurious seats, and there's Megabyte and Megatron wearing smoking jackets and nothing else, holding like a corncob pipe or like like a small like a whiskey glass, right? And they're like,
Yeah.
how nice of you to join us.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. No.
I don't know what it would be called or what they'd talk about, but I like the idea. And they're like, we don't need a support group. No. We revel in it.
It would be called Mega Talk.
Oh,
Mega talk.
we need to get really good at one of their voices, and we need to make it happen. Just role playing as Megatron and Megabyte.
Mega Talk
gosh.
tonight.
Megatron tonight.
That's awesome.
Anyways,
The Probe.
That was.
Do you have
that
anything
was-
else? Anything else to add?
I also like the idea of Rhinox like using computers and like doing computer stuff and like trying to put the 3.5-inch floppy in with his mouth. Like that was the key to like sending the message, is that Rhinox had to put in this like floppy disk.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just in of itself, now I would change my list now that I'm like re-looking at it. I'm surprised it's that high up too, but I guess it's just it's the first time there's a bad ending.
Yeah,
And I
think
appreciate the writers being brave enough to do that.
Yeah,
And,
I think we talked about that on the episode of the podcast. Was
Yes.
that was the first time the Maximals actually lost?
And the faded like semi translucent image of Mega of Megatron's face, just like laughing with delight as it's blowing, as the tower is blowing up. It's very evil villain moment, and I dig it.
Yes.
And yeah, that's it for me.
All right. I'm kind of curious of what. I haven't heard my number one come up yet.
Well, did we cover
Me
your
either.
4, 3, 2?
Oh,
Let's-
you know what?
let's-
We kind of did. My number 4 was The Low Road,
Which we all
which we
loved.
talked about. My number 3 is Double Jeopardy.
Oh yeah. Yes. That was
Really?
my 5.
The episode that introduced Black Arachnia.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh right, we shelved it because
Yeah.
Candice had it on hers.
Right. Yeah, double I love this episode, and it was an episode that I was kind of just about as a kid, but watching it as an adult for the podcast, like I just love it so much. Rat Trap as Pterosaur's lieutenant, and like the bit where Pterosaur is giving his speech to the Predacons, and Rat Trap is like in beast form in the cage behind him, and he's like making hand gestures, like as Pterosaur is talking, like gives a salute and like wags his finger and
Oh, he gets to tase Megatron.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's got like a little like taser, and he takes him out. I
Yeah,
think it also locks him in beast mode. The little taser.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Rat Trap sneaking around the ship, and like the whole drama of like is Rat Trap a traitor or not? I mean, of course he isn't, but and then the fight sequence at the end, and plus, you know, Black Arachnia, she's pretty cool, and this is the episode that introduced her.
Mm-hmm. She is pretty cool.
I didn't see too much of her though. I mean, not until like the end where the fighting was happening.
Yeah, she
Well, she
doesn't-
steps on Cheetor's head in that one, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
I wish I put that on my list now.
I just found all of the stuff with Rat Trap at the Predacon base really, really fun.
It is fun.
Yes.
It's probably, you have that on your list for the same reason I had Before the Storm on mine. It's just fun. It's wacky.
And my number 2, actually, Candice, do you have anything you want to say about Double Jeopardy?
It was on my list. Because it was another Rat Trap episode. Sorry.
Yeah.
I like the whole.
It all
the
makes
whole
sense now.
Pterosaur thing going on. It's pretty funny. And you get to see him do his thing, and I always knew he wasn't a traitor, so I knew that.
When Megatron gets free and like the Maximals are attacking and like shit's blowing up, Pterosaur is like sitting on Megatron's throne, just being like, in beast form, just being like and Megatron shows up and it's like, well, leader, what are your commands? And Pterosaur is just like, you will allow me to lead? The wise tyrant always allows a fool to lead during a crisis. Yes.
And I'm like, what?
Is that the one where at the end he turns white? Oh wait, no, he lost his head, didn't he?
Yeah, he
He gets his head knocked off, yeah.
What was the one where Megatron says something to him or threatens him or something, and he turns white?
Yeah, I remember that.
That was Power Surge, the Energon Mountain.
Oh, that's right.
Exploding mountain.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that was my number 3, and my number 2 was Other Voices Part 2, which we already talked about. Candice, what is your number 1?
I'm a little concerned. Like as you said, Christopher, nobody has said this one yet.
Same for mine.
I'm really hoping they're all the same one.
Wouldn't that be great? Okay, I'm gonna say it. Guerrilla Warfare.
That was That was
Go ahead.
my number. That was my number 5.
Ah,
Oh
Do you have it on your list, Kel?
no.
No. All right. Let's.
oh,
Yeah.
Why is it your number 1?
I've always really liked this because most of the time you're seeing Optimus as the caring, compassionate leader. He won't go to these lengths of but he is a one-man army. Holy shit. And just
Yeah.
blasts through and takes everybody down until the end where he's getting too weak
Gets
and
to torture Tarantulas
crazy.
a little.
Yeah, there's like so many
straight up impales him.
there's little hints from other movies or whatever, like his shaking his finger was like Terminator 2 or something with the Robert Patrick.
Yeah.
And the way he was
Oh,
creeping
right.
up on Waspinator, was like Jason, like you said, Jason Voorhees or some shit. It's like crazy.
Breaks through the
I
fucking
loved it.
wall and pulls
Yeah.
him into the darkness.
Yeah. The whole
And
bit
I
on the.
thought, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the whole bit on the dark side when Optimus gets to the dark side, it's like straight up like shit out of, like right out of a slasher film, and I love it.
That's a good number
It's
1.
like it's like always one of my go. I thought Gary's voice acting was phenomenal. I think he said he almost lost his voice a couple times doing all that yelling and growling and stuff.
Oh, he's growling a lot. Yeah.
Amazing.
I
That's
wonder if
one.
my number 1's the same as Christopher's.
Oh boy.
I think you said everything I could even think about for guerrilla warfare. Yeah, you summed it up nicely. Also, we learn Scorponok's a scientist.
Yeah, with his giant meaty claws. I don't know how he does that.
We joke all the time. We're like, it always shows Rhinox like at his station or at the center console of the Exelon, like in his beast mode, like tapping away, and we're like, how?
It's like the first episode. He's sitting outside with something in his
He's sitting outside.
his hooves or whatever they're called for rhinoceros. Like, how the hell is he handling that?
That is my that was my background for a long time, actually.
That's great.
We see him doing science stuff in beast form all the time, and then in the probe he can't put a 3.5-inch floppy.
Yeah.
What's up with
Hold
that?
up. What's up with that? I have that screenshot saved. I'll send it to you. So yeah, are we moving on to my numero uno?
Yeah, what's your number
Go for
1,
it.
Cal?
Mine is Power Surge. That's
That
right.
is in my honorable mentions.
Mine is actually Power Surge. It left my list for a while. It came back. It replaced the probe. And then as I was shuffling things around, once I got 10 that I knew were on it, I started shuffling things around. And I'm like, even though he's not my favorite character, he's the only one that straight up defeated Megatron. I'm just saying. He blows him to pieces, to smithereens, if you will. And I just liked all the jokes. I might be biased because when we covered it, like I got to do like a jacked pterosaur,
Sexy
voice.
pterosaur.
The sexy pterosaur. Hey Megatron, it's time to move over. And he like flexes and he's like,
fuck yeah, time to go kick Megatron's ass.
That fucking dweeb. And like his guns are different too. Like his weapons are like super jacked too.
Oh, yeah.
And then he pieces out and he's like, Tarantulas is in charge. Later. And he goes off to get juiced again. And Scorponok's like, no fair. Just there's a lot about it that's dumb. And I don't know, I liked it a lot.
It almost made my top 10, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, him blowing up Megatron, yeah. His face turns white at the end.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he wasn't melted down. Sorry, go ahead.
I liked how Optimus and Rat Trap worked together, and then the whole pterosaur chasing Optimus around. That was pretty fun.
I like when they went to the when they go to the island to blow it up. It's like a recon
Hmm.
because they can't take Pterosaur on because he's too powerful.
Right.
So Optimus leads Pterosaur away to fight him in
Right.
the air, and Rat Trap goes on his like little demolition mission. And I don't know, I felt like all of the beats to it like worked properly.
Yeah.
It's like not
And-
important to the main story whatsoever, but
I know.
somehow worked up to my number one.
Oh, it's a great episode. I had it on mine and I was kind of flipping stuff around. But he destroy his power source instead of taking him head on while he's pumped up.
Right?
Pretty smart.
Yeah. And like you said, like it's comical at the very end, like Megatron shows up and he's like, ah! And is like he turns white.
It definitely would have been high on my list if 11-year-old Christopher was making a top 10 list. Because it was one of my
Well,
favorites.
30 plus episode
Oh.
Cal, it's on his number one.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So yeah, that's there's not much to say about it. I
All
just
right.
like sexy pterosaur. What can I say?
What?
He's ambitious. God damn it.
Yeah. For sure.
He has plans. Oh wait, that's Waspinator.
Aw.
Waspinator not want to be destroyed. Waspinator has plans.
Amazing.
So great.
Speaking of Waspinator, my number one is Possession.
Oh. I think
The
that was
stars-
on Candice's. Or was it?
No, it was going to pick it off. No. Yeah.
Possession.
Possession, the Starscream episode. I like this episode growing up. Rewatching it for the podcast, I love this episode. The dialogue in it is great. As I mentioned, this episode was written by Ian Weir, who also did Dark Designs, which was another episode that had a lot of like really good quips. Like I love the bit where Waspinator gets blown back from the computer console, and Megatron's like, damage report. And Waspinator is just like, Waspinator in pain, but still functional. And Megatron's like, not you, imbecile, the computer.
Now say it like Sean Connery.
Not you, imbecile, the computer.
So sometimes when Christopher does Megatron too long, he starts to drift into Sean Connery.
I
It
love it.
happens.
That's great.
Wow, we had very different number ones.
Yeah.
Wow.
And probably not like typical number ones. All of ours. Like I'd
Possession
expect
is
like,
is a pretty well-regarded episode in general. I don't know. I'm not part of the broader Beast Wars community, but from what I've read, it's a well-regarded episode.
people like it, yeah. For me, it's like a filler episode with a throwback to Starscream. It doesn't resonate with me a lot. It's funny, like it's up there, like it's a good episode. But I don't know why jacked Pterosaur finally achieving his dream.
Kind of like
He did it
Possession,
for
how
me.
kind of like starts to tie in the G1 stuff, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute, where are we here, or when
Yeah.
are we? Let's go. How
Oh,
is
that's
this?
a good point. That's a good
Starscream?
point.
Huh?
And that episode establishes that Beast Wars is taking place 300 years after G1.
Yeah, and Black Arachnia is apparently a like historian. She's like, "What? You don't know?" And she kind of like fills the others in.
That's right.
Yeah, and they name drop. We see Unicron, briefly in a flashback, and
Oh, right.
they name drop Galvatron and the Autobots and the Decepticons. I think all of that kind of keeps it from being a filler episode.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, so that was our top 10 lists. Just to summarize, do we want to just read off our top 10s in order? 10 to 1. Candice, do you want to start?
Sure. All right, number 10, Spider's Game. 9, Beast Wars 1 and 2. Number 8, Dark Voyage. 7, Chain of Command. 6, Double Dinobot. 5, Double Jeopardy. 4, Other Parts 1 and 2. 3, The Low Road. 2, A Better Mousetrap. And 1, Guerrilla Warfare.
All right, Cal, your top 10.
Yes. My top 10 was number 10, Equal Measures. Number 9, The Spark. Number 8, Before the Storm. Number 7, The Low Road. Number 6, Dark Voyage. Whoops, sorry, closed my thing. Number 5, Other Voices, Part 1. Number 4, The Low Road. Number 3, Beast Wars, Part 1. Number 2, The Probe, which I should probably switch out for the Rat Trap taking over one. What was
Better
that?
Mousetrap.
Double Jeopardy? What was that one called? A Better Mousetrap? Yeah. But yeah, The Probe, number 2, and my number 1 was Power Surge.
My number 10 was The Spark. Number 9 was The Trigger, Part 1. Number 8, Victory. Number 7, Beast Wars, Part 1. Number 6, Dark Designs. Number 5, Guerrilla Warfare. Number 4, The Low Road. Number 3, Double Jeopardy. Number 2, Other Voices, Part 2. And number 1, Possession.
I just realized The Low Road is twice on mine. That's how much I liked it.
Oh, shit.
So,
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So, I am actually changing my number, number 10, 9, number 7 from The Low Road, because I had The Low Road on as number 4 and number 7.
How did I miss that?
How did I miss that? But I even read it out loud. I must have sounded like an idiot reading them all back, having The Low Road. But yeah, I had The Low Road twice. You know what? Double Jeopardy's going on there.
All right.
Yeah.
Which number?
That is going on my number 7.
All right.
Or I could just keep The Low Road on there twice because it's so great. Of course I would do something like that. Anyways.
Did you guys have any honorable mentions?
I didn't really think about that.
Nah. We've talked about all the episodes so much.
Well, I did. My honorable mentions were Chain of Command, Dark Voyage, Power Surge, and Beast Wars Part 2. And I mentioned that one of my rules was that I was only going to use one part per multi-part episode, but
Right.
I put Beast Wars Part 2 on my honorable mentions because it's the first full episode of Beast Wars that I saw start to finish, because I came into Beast Wars Part 1 at the very end.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, so that has been our final episode of season 1 of Too Much Energon. If you want to support the show and you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating because it helps us out with discoverability. If you want to get in touch with us, send us an email to toomuchenergon@outlook.com. Go to our website, www.toomuchenergon.ca. The www part is very important, I found out, because if you just type toomuchenergon.ca, it doesn't work. And I'm
This is true.
I am terrible with web stuff, so where's a spider bot when you need one? I don't know how to fix it. On our website, you can find embedded players of every single episode of this show and social media links. Want to extend a very special thank you to our guest this week, Candice. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Oh, you guys. Thank you for having me. It was quite a surprise because I consider myself not really anybody special.
No,
So
it's been great.
plugging.
Yeah, it's been great.
Likewise. Okay, I am on Facebook. Candice Art. You probably search for it, it'll show up there somewhere. I think. I had a list because they're all kind of different because I'm stupid. Yes, Candice Art Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at candice.santora, Twitter at Candice Santora, and YouTube. I think it's my name, Candice Santora. That's CandiceSantora. It's Italian, you know, because I'm Italian. And also on my YouTube has Gary's Christmas parodies, Beast Wars. So there you go. I think that's about all I have. The Stasis Lock. The Stasis Lock Podcast, of course.
Yeah, the
But
Stasis
you guys
Lock
mentioned that
Podcast.
earlier.
Yeah, I'll leave links to all of that in the show notes. We've been going at this for a long time, so we're pretty much out of time for the night. Thank you very much for everyone who listened, and
Been like 2 megacycles.
at least a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
And yeah, once again, thanks for being on the show, Candice.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
We will be back next week with the first episode of season 1, or blah. It's getting late.
Season 2, episode 1.
First episode of season 2, Aftermath. And on that note, sorry, got distracted. On that note, I have been one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
I am your other host, NeoCal, and we were joined by our guest host, Candice.
Me. Bye, guys. Thanks for listening. I like Mickey Mouse.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And with that, we'll sign out.
Until next week, Beast Mode.
Beast Mode.
Beast Mode.
Beast Wars!
I like the gusto you said it with. I want to redo mine. Beast Mode! Oh, there we go. I'm going to do it like that from now on.
I even shot my arm up in the air. I'm like, Beast Mode. What do I do?
I'm doing it like that from now on. Yeah. I'm ending with more energy from now on. Thank you.
Some big Energon energy.
Yeah. Big Dinobot energy.
It's midnight. It's midnight over here. I don't know where it came from.
I was going to say, yeah, that late night Beast Wars energy.